Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsport.
RACE22 Radio!
It's time for another edition of RACE22 Radio. In-depth coverage of all your favorite late model stock car racing action from all perspectives.
You want answers!
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
RACE22 Radio is hosted by Race22.com founder, Mr. Langley Austin.
All they need to do is delete the late model stock cars from that rule book, and that will help start fixing things right there. I mean, that's all we got to do. Just
so
delete
in the
that.
NASCAR rule book, is delete the pages and just say refer to car stores.
Exactly. That's all they got to do. That's all they got to do.
Race22 Radio is co-hosted by Performance Center Racing Warehouse President, Mr. Roger Johnson.
You're the guy for this, in my opinion. You know, we don't. I mean, name me anybody else that's doing it.
Well, appreciate it.
Right? Well, it doesn't mean you're good. I'm just saying.
With special co-host, Crazy Corey Latham. Sit back, buckle in, and hold on tight. RACE22 Radio is coming right at you at full throttle. And now your host, Mr. Langley Austin.
All right, guys, we're here. RACE22 Radio is back on the air after a week's vacation.
What the wink Doc just gave you? I wish we had TV for that. That was great. Did you see that?
I don't even look at it.
Did you see it? What the hell was that? That was like some wow. That was awesome, Doc.
I don't want to know. Not really sure. I'm not.
I wish we had TV. I know Corey saw it, but Doc won't turn Corey's mic on yet.
Oh,
he got it. He's on. Mic's on.
Man, what
Doc,
what are you doing, man? We're supposed to keep his mic off for the first 30 minutes. Okay, what are you doing here? Lord mercy. Well, we're off to a good start already.
I didn't want to show him in front of his new girlfriend he brought with him.
Oh!
Wow! And we need video for that too. That was good.
We did need video for that one.
Wow. We couldn't show him because of the hat anyway.
I mean, I hear you.
You know, this thing, that
funny.
thing does work.
They won't turn it on.
No, we ain't turning that on for him. I'm going to tell you right now. Wow. All right. Well, we took a week off last week.
No, you took a week off.
Yeah, no shit.
Well, I mean, y'all didn't have, did y'all have the show?
No.
Did I miss it?
But listen.
Corey back got in his little go-go gadget car and drove the States for him until you text me and like, hey, don't come.
Actually, I didn't text him. He texted me. He said, we're not having a show.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that was a good thing.
I forgot to tell him.
That'd have been sweet.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Anyway, move on.
I didn't mean to do that. Anyways, we missed a lot from last week, though. Of course, Bowman Gray opening up, Motor Mile opening back up after being shut down for a year.
Cars Tour Crasherama.
Well, this week, yeah.
Good race, though.
A lot of things happening there for sure. Bryant Robertson has already got this show off to a bad start.
I see he's wound.
He keeps telling us that Corey is number one. So I don't.
But with a different finger.
Well, he said with all fingers. So,
okay.
I mean, I don't know. At least one of them for sure.
Tommy Strupp called me today and said he's watching now. He called and could not wait for this to happen.
Well, that's good.
The one-man Taliban. He could not wait for it to happen. He was going nuts about it.
It's liable to get interesting here.
We're gonna see.
Yeah.
You know how these damn Yankees are. So
yeah, he don't give a damn. So
yeah, no doubt about it. You could tell that from his front bumper after the first race.
And he told me, and Ryan could tell you, he said, come here, look at this. He said, I'm knocking this sumbitch off. His exact words. Did he not tell me? He's what he told me for the race.
Corey's over here talking to him like we're going to turn his mic off.
No. He's just sitting over and nodding.
Well, he was giving the finger to Doc a few minutes ago.
And he deserved it.
Eventually, we might tell the people at home who's sitting here because they have no idea.
It's the mystery guest.
He used to race.
Used to hold a steering
At least
wheel.
he raced in a late model style car.
Oh,
yeah.
God,
Here we go.
Wow.
Here we go. They've been asking me, what are we doing with the modified guy?
Yeah, what are we doing with the modified guy?
Was this your idea?
Well, because he's excited.
Was this your idea?
It's entertainment.
Yeah, it was my idea.
It was?
Yeah. Well, we all came to this idea.
Who's we?
Inside me and this mystery guest guy and about 14 other people inside the hauler when it was raining. And we thought it was a great
Coors
idea.
Light hauler, you can imagine what they were doing. So.
Holy.
It's my favorite truck at the track, but,
I guarantee that. Guarantee it.
We were drinking Kool-Aid. And, and we thought it would be a great idea. And I said, you want to do it? And he said, hell yeah. So,
I think it's great.
Yeah, because other years I've tried to get these modified guys. Are they not the hardest damn – none of them want to do it. None of them want to do it. Late model, Lee Pulliam drives from 3 hours away to come be on stuff like this.
Well, he hasn't yet.
Well, not yet. But he has before.
This was like 10 years ago, right? Like
what, the last show?
No, I'm just saying. This all started 10 years ago, I think.
Oh, yeah.
In Langley's garage.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite that long ago.
Has to be close.
It was 2011, so it was 8 years ago.
Oh, shit. Okay. I thought it was 2010, yeah.
10, 8.
Hey, find a mystery guest a chair so our rear chest can sit the hell down.
Well, we got to kick this guy out, so. And we'll get him seated here in a minute.
Look, he's back here looking for your secrets.
Whenever he's searching through the place, he's trying to find some modifieds in here. That's what the deal is.
Everything here has fenders.
Oh man, well,
this should be good.
We'll get him on here in a few minutes anyway.
Nobody on here besides Corey knows anything about modifieds. This should be a fun show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Let's go to the doc and let him deliver the news over here.
Race 22 Radio. All right, Motorheads, Friday, May the 3rd. There we go. Thank you. Almost forgot. Anderson Speedway
I'm just
got their
glad it wasn't
2040s.
that one from the last show.
Oh, I got it saved.
Tyler Williams really liked it.
I could play it.
There was one person that liked it.
Yeah, good.
The rest of us did not.
Well, I got a lot of good compliments on it. Thank you. It'll be on the card next week. Trust me for that, mister.
Oh, my God.
Anderson Speedway, once again, Twin 40s got to race in. Luke Sorrow won race number 1 and number 2.
Yep, that's 3 in a row for him.
He's rocking and rolling.
Power
looking
down
good.
there.
I just talked to him a little while ago. He was
here.
Yeah, he was here.
Got some brake pads.
Walked away with some swag and pads.
Yeah, he raided the T-shirt closet as usual.
That one's probably on.
He got him out of some T-shirts here. So
yeah,
good start.
Sure.
And Kingsport got to race in. Nick Williams was the winner, late model stocks. Southside Speedway, late model stocks. Chris Johnson gets the victory there. Good for those guys. Bowman Gray, of course, rained out, but we'll be talking a little bit about that up here shortly. Dillon Motor Speedway had a great event last week. Had the Relay for Life, the Cancer Walk. So kudos for those guys for hosting that event. I think that was real important and good for the community. So good job for those guys. East Carolina, all I could find was 6 cars qualified, no results. I don't know if it got rained out after that or if they even tried to race.
Just tells you how good of a job they do. Telling
Great
people
job
what's going on there. So.
Florence, they did get rained out. It was the 60
lap
22.
Doc, wait a minute, just so you guys know why we're laughing. Doc turned Corey's mic off again, and intermittently he just turns it off, and then Corey gets ready to talk and gets ready to make this big segue in, and there's nothing. And we'll try to get some.
It's actually way more entertaining.
Right, we'll try to get some video of this.
It's the best way to listen to Corey is without having to hear him.
But that was the Jimmy Hatchell night, so hopefully they'll get that rescheduled, get that race in. It's a very special race for that community. Greenville Pickens, I think they had some cars practice, but I think they did get rained out as the day went on. Let's see, who else we got? Hickory Motor Speedway, they did get rained out. Langley Speedway, they got the race on Saturday night, 100 laps for the late model stock cars. Philip Morris led all the laps, and it was caution-free. Sound like a snoozer to me.
Yeah, don't sound very good to me.
Myrtle Beach had their drift event. Okay. South Boston Speedway
You're reading
had a
what are you looking at us for? You're the one reading
2-day event. It turned out to be a 2-day event. K&N Series they got in race number 1 Saturday night. Tanner Gray won race number 1, and then they got to race on again Sunday, and Derek Krause was the winner on Sunday. Now, for last week, we had some things prepared. I guess we can still do it this week. We talked about the Motor Mile.
What happened last week?
We had it prepared.
We had prepared.
How was the show last week? Does anybody know?
I said we had it prepared. You ought to listen to the show. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was great.
Don't miss another week.
But we were going to talk
was Corey's mic on like it is now?
You want it on?
Hold on. Yeah, I'll give Corey my mic. He can go ahead.
They're going to start kissing and sharing mics over here.
Ain't nobody kissing. Nobody kissing.
All right.
Yeah, he's got it back on. We're good.
Okay.
Now.
Yeah.
Put him
But
in
we
time.
had it prepared to talk about the
play the clip.
Motor Mile. They had twin 50s they run up there now.
Right.
I was there. I can't even remember. But, yeah, I had 24 cars on the ground, so it was a good field of late model stocks. The limited race was off the chain. It was a very entertaining race. And my man Langley, he was down there getting some audio and video, had it posted all over the place. Brandon Pierce, first time there, I think. He finished third in race number 1. Let's see what he had to say.
Heck of a battle, we qualified fourth and had to, because of the draw, we had to start sixth, and so we got going there. And I knew when that caution come out, we were gonna have a shot. And Phillip just didn't seem like he was going on any of the restarts, and so I had a heck of a run. And it's 5 to go. I ain't gonna check up, so I didn't reckon. But I got into him a little bit down there on the apron, but I had a run, and as soon as I saw I got him crossed up, I let him go and let him and Looney duel it out. So it was a big learning experience for me, but we had a good car. We were a little too free right there, but we'll work on it for the second one and see what we got for him for that one. I think with it being 50, that helps everybody. I mean, being on these tires, they're so hard, you can't really hurt them. So I think we got just as good of a shot as anybody. We'll see how the invert plays out and where we got to start.
Yeah, he was looking pretty sporty out there. Philip Morris, he finished second in race number 1.
Yeah, we were a little bit snug there on the restarts. Took a couple laps to get going, and I thought we had a pretty good line getting into 1 and 2, and just got picked up there a couple times getting into 1, and it gave Looney a pretty good run. He did a good job holding me off there. A lot of guys wouldn't be able to take that pressure, but Mike's got as many laps here as I do, and hats off to him. I want to thank Reynolds Racing Chassis. That's one of them right there too. Really good chassis.
You got anything left for the second race?
Yeah. I rolled a lot in that first race, so I think I got a pretty good car.
He knows what he's doing. How about you couldn't have picked a better winner for the first race for the late models to come back to Motor Mile than Mike Looney? How exciting was that? The crowd was into it. He was really excited. He said he maybe didn't have a winning car, but there he was in victory lane.
Probably had a second-place race car, qualified second. We drew 8 on the start, which that's the way it goes. Hope it made for a good show for the fans. We tried to bide our time, clawed our way through the field, and I think once I got the second, Phillip turned it loose. He started driving off, and I couldn't run him down. I was abusing my right rear a little bit, and we got a late race caution. I think I got some help. They got to racing behind me a little bit, got him stuttered up with a Billy Banks engine. You don't need but just a hiccup, and you got the lead. And I was able. He was better than me, but just with, I guess, with some mutual respect, he didn't run over me, and I pinched. We raced hard, and I got the W. So thank the Lord, thank Phillip for running me clean.
Yeah, he said not many people could take the pressure of having him right there with you.
Just his name, whether he's really in the car or not. If you think it's him, it's scary enough because it's, he's one of the best ever for sure.
Got anything left for the second race?
I think so. The car, it wasn't perfect by no means, and I think we can get it a little bit better anyway. We're going, we'll be in the back again, so we'll give it a shot.
All right, in the second race, Brandon Pierce finished third again. See what he had to say.
Yeah, it just hurt us. We were just as fast as the leaders right there at the end. We just ran out of time, so got held up a little bit there early, and it's just 50 laps here. I mean, it's 50 qualifying laps, so heck of a field though tonight. I mean, look at who was here. So really, really proud of all these guys, all my sponsors that made this possible. To come here with this kind of competition, I'm pleased. Of course, we came to win. But for us, cars in one piece, 2 podium finishes against these guys, it's like a win. So hopefully we'll be able to make it back up here. We'll be here with the Cars Tour in a couple weeks, so really excited to get back here with that. And all in all, though, good night for us, and hopefully I'll get to come back around a few more.
Speaking of the Cars Tour, you think this helps you? I know it's a different tire and all, but do you think this helps you coming back to that?
I think it does just because of my lack of experience here. I mean, like I said, my first laps on the racetrack, we got about 15 hot laps yesterday before the rain got here, and then what we got today, plus the 2 50-lap races, so I'm still under 150 laps here. So I definitely think it helped a lot. Like you said, different tire, but I definitely think you can carry stuff over for it, so it'll definitely be beneficial.
Mike Looney, winner in race number 1, finished second in race number 2.
Yeah, man, what a great night for Billy Martin Racing. Started 8th place both races, got to pass some cars, done some fun racing with a lot of good guys. King whooped us again there. Just he drove the wheels off of it. I seen him in the bathroom. He had an icy stare on his face, and I knew he was going to be hard to beat tonight. And I made him work for it. We're really proud of 87 here. Billy Martin Racing. We're really not supposed to compete with these big guys, but we do. And Lord's just really blessed me with a good race car, a good team, a good engine. I couldn't be happier.
You got some good passing bucks tonight, right?
Yeah, I think we get $20 for every car. I don't have 240 is what they said.
Pretty good, man.
Yeah, we'll take it.
There you go. That's good for them. But Philip Morris, that was your winner in race number 2. And the crowd seemed kind of 50-50 there. There was one dude sitting in front of us. I don't know how many adult beverages he had, but his girlfriend was ready to pull him out of there. Not a Morris fan.
Same thing was going through my mind on the first caution right there with like 5 to go. You know, is it going to get swept away from me? And I was trying to do everything I could for my crew to get this W. Really needed it pretty bad. And losing that first race there, I thought we had the best car. Just couldn't get it to victory lane. And I hate to take a fast car and finish second with it. So that second race, I really did work hard in the seat. And my car really was improved from one race to the next. Really I had a good piece.
How does it feel to be back here at Motor Mile in 2019?
It's like coming home because I got so many laps logged into this place, and it's just it's fun to come here and hit your marks and just go fast. You know, it's one of these places where you just really charge your corners, and it's hard to describe, but there's a lot of adrenaline here, and for a guy like me, that means a lot.
Well, you certainly pulled it off on that second race tonight. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
It looks like we've got the trophy for you right here, actually. Right. So,
look at the hardware on that baby right
there. Got
the
hardware, got that second
This one's
win.
a little bit bitter, but this one made up for it tonight. And, hey, you know what? It was just good to be a part of this event and for it to be close like it was, and for me and Looney to put on a race there. Even though I had to finish second to somebody, I'm glad it was him, a Reynolds Racing chassis. They're hard to beat anyway. And right here in front of this crowd, I think David Hagan and all the guys that put this thing together, I think it worked out great tonight for us.
All right, congratulations.
That scared me.
That would have been some great edited down audio there.
Yeah.
I thought you were prepared for a show last week.
Okay. Nashville had their super late models. Was a CRA, Cars, ARCA, Bermuda Run, this and that. I don't know how many classes they had to run the super late, but it was a big old show at Nashville. Josh Sprock, Kentucky driver, was your winner. Donnie Wilson out of OK City, Oklahoma. He was second. Matt Craig races right here with around the Carolinas. He finished third. Johnny Van Dorn out of Michigan finished fourth. And how about Jared Fryer? Top 5 finish, our Trinity, North Carolina driver, Cars Tour champion from last year. Atta boy, Jared. I'm so tickled for him. Some other drivers that races with us on a regular basis. Stephen Nash finished 12th. Molly Helmuth, she finished 13th. Nolan Pope, 15th. Justin Kreider, first year in a super late model, correct?
Yep.
He finished 20th. Hey, not too shabby first time at Nashville. And Lee Tissett, I didn't know he was getting back into a super late model. Man, I was kind of glad to see that name there.
He's hit or miss. You never know what he's
doing. I'll tell you what.
He was running one of Rogers' horses a few weeks ago.
Right. He'll do anything.
I'll tell you what. He is a wheel man right there. So it was real tickle for him. Of course, Bubba Pollard wins the big show up in Wisconsin. The Joe Shear Classic adds to his win list for this year. So surprised he wasn't in Nashville.
How do you not put Bubba Pollard in a cup car? Because you don't have the money?
Because you don't have money. I mean,
that's all that matters.
That's what's wrong with the system right there. That right there is a perfect definition.
He's made a run, though. But if you look at it nationally, he's made a run.
My whole thing is, if you put a guy in the car, he will make you money. You might have to pay the first year.
Maybe, but can you pay the first year? Anyway, I didn't mean to derail the whole traffic. I'm just saying, look at that guy. He's got to be on the front of somebody's list, right? He's winning every race that he's getting in a super late model.
For sure.
Everywhere in the country.
Every chance to win Martinsville last year.
Right,
first time in a late model stock.
Yeah. Now, with the rules,
how do you
Roger,
not take a look at that, dude?
Answer me this. Now, in like Martinsville, with the rules, the weight of the car, is it with or without the driver?
It's always with.
Yeah.
With the driver?
Always late model.
Always late model.
So the total weight is with the driver?
Yes.
Okay.
Always.
I didn't know if it was without, because it would be a big disadvantage with all these light kids. So I've always wondered about that. No, that's what I'm saying. That shows how impressive.
Good question. Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't know the answer to that either. That was a good question.
You guys really stink. You know that?
I like it. Right there, you smiled first before you got mad, though. That was funnier because you didn't just cuss us out. You smiled like these pricks.
I got him really good a minute ago, and now you don't know what to do.
That was awesome.
Yeah. All right, now the race of the week, and that was at Ace Speedway.
That was a race.
Had a winning hand. Full house for Ace Speedway. How you about that?
Yeah, that's a nice segue.
There you go. Let's give your top 10, even though, man, I could talk about all these guys, man. I tell you, what a fantastic race up and down the field. Newcomer, Sammy Smith. I talked to Timothy Peters as I walked in, and he was pretty high on that fella and was proud of him. And he said, man, he's doing what he needs to do. He's listening and showed speed right away.
What I saw, he looked like he was up on the wheel. So.
I just saw his elbows the entire race.
Yeah.
He was
And
all
I'm
over
telling
the
you,
place.
he knocked the nose off. Used the nose plumb up. I'll tell you what.
Ripped it off, didn't it?
He didn't quit. He drove that race car to past its ability and finished in the top 10. I'm telling you what, I'm impressed with Sammy Smith. I'm telling you right now, I'm impressed with him.
Well,
he's
good.
a driver.
Yeah.
He's a wheel man.
He's your pick?
If he goes to Motor Mile, sure.
Yeah.
Minnie Tyrell, how about that? Started 17th, finished 8th. Another top 10 finish for him, man. The little fella's coming on good.
He's definitely better than he was. I mean, I think a lot of times finishes.
He just kind of stayed out of the wrecks, though, didn't he?
A lot of times, and I'm not discounting him in any way, shape, or form, but a lot of times the way the race plays out plays into favor of somebody who's not running as good as they should be.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, but he's young yet, right? He's going to get there.
He's both the last two races. He's kind of got in the right position for those finishes. You know what I mean? And that's part of
racing.
He's got to make it through the race.
Yeah, but at the same time, I was watching him race. He was passing cars.
Oh,
and
for sure.
He was racing.
Real good.
You know, and he's going to have a new car coming soon, so it should be a little better.
Nice.
And
Bradley McCaskill's been showing a lot of speed each and every week. He qualified 12th and finished 7th. Zach St. Onge, how about him? Started 16th, finished 6th. He was pretty pleased after the race.
You know, it's humbling to be able to come out here and be able to run so well with these guys. You know, these are some of the best racers in the nation, and you know, it's just really, you know, exciting to be able to come out here and do what we do. You know, in the race we took advantage of some early cautions. Got from 16th to about 5th really quick. You know, we just kind of stayed there, saved our brakes, saved our stuff, and eventually some guys came up through the field that were really quick. I feel like I missed a shift somewhere in the race, and that one really hurt us. But I think that we probably could have finished around 4th. But you know, I'm happy where we ended up, and it's a good effort from us. And I think that, you know, any night, you know, the budget that we have to race on and what we have to deal with, any night we can be happy with the finish and load it on the trailer with you know, minimal damage, you know, a tire rub, that's it. You know, we're really happy with that. That's where we come from too, and we've always been a struggle for us is, you know, get the car on the trailer, it's a good night.
Absolutely. Good job for Zach and all those folks. Adam Lemke, he's a young driver, got a whole mouthful of braces, and he looks like just a little bitty old thing. He's a sharp young fella. He buckled up the nose early on. A lot of kids would panic, but he kept the nose clean after that. And I wondered how much did it bother the airflow? Did it have any overheating or anything?
We had some overheating issues the entire race. The gauge was red the entire race, so I knew we were in a little bit of trouble, but you know, I just kept the nose clean for the most part. I tried my best to, and I kept the grill in clean air, and just kept her out the bay. Yeah, I mean, I got around that 07. I was trying for, I think, 30 laps straight. It just shows that the competition in this Cars Tour race and series is pretty tough, and the car was really good. I think I could have stayed a little harder, but I need to get better at these tracks. You kind of have to manhandle the car a little bit better. But overall, I think we had a good car all weekend.
You know, he was, you know, he owned the deal at Orange County about missing the shifts, and a lot of drivers were upset. A lot of fans, you know, were pointing the finger at him. And I asked him about that. I asked him, you know, has that been on your mind? You been working on it?
Just thinking about it all month long, pretty much. Just getting ready for this race. We have a couple stick shift cars at the house that I got used to. You know, racing on the West Coast, the cars out there have a straight cut gear, so you don't have to use a clutch. You just throw it in gear. And I mean, I've never had a struggling problem with shifting. It's just timing is what I'm struggling with.
There you go. It's a timing thing. It's different types of gears in the timing.
He had more drivers mad at him after Friday night.
Why would that be?
Because he missed a lot of shifts again Friday night. There was quite a few that was not happy after the race.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I seen the St. Unge kid miss his shift.
Yeah, St. Unge did, but the 98 didn't.
I didn't see the other guy.
Yeah, I don't recall the 98.
Toward the back or something.
Missed about 3 or 4.
Wow.
Yeah. I was standing with his team.
Oh, I got you. I didn't see that.
All right, well, he finished 5th. He did a good job. Adam did a fantastic job. I had some audio with Bobby and Deke, but I inadvertently messed up and deleted those by mistake. Stuck in my pocket. So, hey, got to own it.
I just want to hear the Stoltz video.
It'll be coming. It'll be coming. Yeah, it's coming. It's coming up here shortly. Yeah. Bobby McCarty finished 5th. He started 4th. He was not very happy when he got out of the car. Right there when he got out of the car and talked to him, he said he felt like he was roughed up. He said anybody can do that, you know, trying to race late. You know, those guys are racing hard late. he said he's putting a lot in the memory bank after that. But I'm going to tell you, he was spent after that race. He was absolutely soaking wet. It was hot. It was humid. There's no airflow down there. He was pretty spent after that race. I think he had to hustle that car more than maybe he'll admit. But he's not happy. So I know he'll be balls to the wall come Motor Mile. Deke Mccaskill pretty pleased when he got out of the car. Talked to him about that. He said very solid night. Can't ask for more. Started third, finished third. Really felt he had a good car late. Then got to rubbing with Josh and Ryan, those guys, and just ran out of time. But I asked him about his wife Sandy. Said she was there up in the VIP booth. Said she's doing good, getting stronger. And I told her, hey, awesome. We're all praying for her. Awesome. And bless her heart, we're all here for her. That's for sure. Ryan Millington. How about Ryan? Getting up on the wheel, talked to his dad. I remember his dad when I was announcing at Hickory in '99. His dad was racing, and talked to him when I got there. Oh, we ain't too good, just like you were saying, the other cat. Oh, we ain't going to be all that good. Sat on the pole, just blistered everybody.
Yeah, we've been going over there every week and been pretty good.
Yeah, he's
been good over there. So
yeah.
I actually thought he'd have more of a push toward the end. I really thought he was kind of saving his stuff.
He got hung up with Bobby.
Yeah.
I guess he got into Bobby.
No, right.
And they got into each other again.
Yeah, him and Bobby crossed each other up about 3 times.
I just thought he would, he's played it over there a couple of the last 2 or 3 times we've been over there. He's just kind of rode and hung around in there, and the next thing you know, he comes back.
That's what I thought he was going to do, but I think
Marlowe said, and he said, that's one thing about him. He's a smart racer, very smart.
I agree.
Yeah,
smart kid, I think, all around.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And Josh Berry, of course, was your winner. Started 8th, finished 1st. Had to really keep us cool on that early spin.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting race for sure. Early on when we got turned around, I obviously wasn't excited, but I still felt like we had a really good car, and I felt like I was going to be able to pass if I could just stay out of trouble. And luckily, we were able to dodge a few of them. And kind of once we got up in the top 5, I mean, the race was still really 30, 40 laps in, and we were kind of able to manage it and just set it up there for the end.
I asked him about the middle stages and talked about racing. They're hard there towards the end, and he said he could tell that his competitors' cars were kind of going away.
On that long run, it seemed like Deke and really Bobby both started to get pretty tight, and I was kind of able to start working underneath of them, and then I started really pressuring Bobby, and the car should come out. So then, on the restart, I knew I had to try to capitalize, and like I said, once we got out front, man, the car was so good, and we were just able to kind of manage it, survive a couple restarts, and put the car in victory lane.
And, he's we always say, what else he has to prove? He's won championships, won all these races. I'm going to tell you what, he had a big smile. He still appreciates Victory Lane.
Yeah, this is a place I haven't won before, really haven't raced that much, so it's always fun to win at places like this. And, really ever since Martinsville, we've had such great race cars and not a lot of trophies. So, I've learned over the years that none of them come easy. So the older I get, the more I enjoy them.
All right, the points, how they shake out after Ace. Berry extends his lead. He did have 4 over Taylor Gray. Now it's 19 over Bobby McCarty. Bobby up 2 spots. Taylor Gray does drop 1 spot. He's in 3rd. Bradley Mccaskill stays the same. Brandon Pierce drops 2 spots. Deke Mccaskill, then Zach St. Ange, Stacy Pruier, Minnie Tyrell in the top 10. Tommy Lemons Jr. Now rounds out your top 10, and Trevor Ward was in the top 10. He's dropped to 12th. Man, I hate to see him have that horrible day at the racetrack. New car woes, I guess they said. But the
would
Derek
you consider
Stokes,
that his home track?
Yeah,
pretty much.
I would say. I just want to make sure.
I really expected him to set it on fire.
Yeah,
I really did.
That's why I was asking.
Yeah. So our buddy over here was hanging around. I guess Corey would be our buddy.
Okay.
Not really.
Clarify that. I didn't know.
Out there hanging around Mr. Derek Stoltz, who won the Bowman Gray Sportsman race, a couple weeks ago we had ready? So had some pretty interesting things to say.
Yeah, Derek really don't even care about winning the race. He's just mad.
Right.
That was a driving movie done, and his ass is getting ready to pay for it.
Well, he tried to wreck you down the straightaway, it looked
like. He ain't
gonna
wreck me. I'm better than him. I told that bitch I don't know how many damn times I'm better than him. And will be till the day he quits. He done asked for it, now he's going to get it.
Well, I mean, you won the race, huh?
Yeah, it's fine. I'm pumped up about that. I mean, the car was shit. We looked up and rode it around, ended up finishing, we done all right. Take a move like that and driving people like that. Mr. Canyon driver going to go to modified here soon. Can't even pay his bills. He ain't going to beat me. My shit's paid for right here on the trailer. It's an all-in-one piece. Do you see it? Got the trophy to go with it, too. It's broke.
I've seen it break.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
once you got in front, though, man, there's nobody can catch you, though. It turned good in the center like it usually does.
Yeah, we're good. I mean, we was off, but we're good. We was good enough.
Yeah.
But dealing with him, man, it's on. I mean, I don't even do nothing. I don't care if I race next week or not. I'll show up, barrel that bastard, and go ahead and do my thing, and laugh about it, and go on.
I don't want to pull him off you or nothing.
I'd like him to try to just get on it.
Well, that hesitation.
Great interview.
Did you try to get the other side of the story? Did you try to talk to the Holman?
No, I was getting out there, and they was over doing something.
What kind of reporter is that? You got to get both sides of the story. Yeah. If you're going to be a reporter, you got to get both sides of the story.
Yeah, I'll do that this next week.
Okay.
It should be real good. Yeah. I think he's going to approach him in the driver's meeting is what he said last night or something. So.
Ooh. Do you get to go to the driver's meeting?
You better be there.
Yeah, I go to the driver's meetings. Yeah. Yeah, modified driver's meeting might be good. Who knows? I don't know.
And that's all we got. That was the news. It is news. It is news across the nation, y'all.
What in the
Well, at least across this region anyways. Jesus.
What just happened? Sorry about the profanity. I don't know what just happened there. What was that?
Oh, man.
Wow. I don't know.
I don't either. I'm glad Stoltz. That was a great interview. I like that.
I mean, to tell you what,
people need people like him. Yeah, but we need people like him.
The entire night. I mean, that was a really good race. I mean, they raced the hill edge there. He had him turn sideways down the straightaway, and they held on to it, and it was really good racing all night in all divisions. It was really it was one of the better opening nights because usually they're not mad at each other yet. Everybody's car's real pretty. For some reason, everybody lost their damn mind. Yeah. And
the last time I went there on opening night, it was terrible, boring.
This was friggin' awesome. Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
How many cops were there? Like 40 again?
33, I think. They work every.
That's awesome.
Every night there or something.
I know that. Is that an actual number?
I think they told me that one time.
33 or 35 was the truth.
33, 35.
Because when I went there last year, I was like, holy God, they got enough security there to launch a battleship.
Yeah.
They still got that steroid cop running around the infield?
There's more than one, I think.
Yeah.
There was like in a whole little pack over there.
Last time I was down there, I bumped into him. I said, dude, you should try working out.
Yeah.
Corey's right, we're taking Doc's mic out.
Wow.
Hey, what's the deal with the towing company coming towing everybody's cars out when it wasn't marked or what have you?
What's the story on that? What is it?
Corey called.
Corey Nart?
No, it was
he texted in a phone.
He seen Bad Brad parked over there. That's what it was.
Okay. All the peanut section. Okay. It was a city lot or something where all the damn where the utility place is, and it was a new worker, and he come back. I guess he worked on Saturday or something. Ryan used to work for the city, so they don't work on Saturday. Hell, y'all don't work during the day. Anyway, the guy's car got trapped in there. So he said, hell with these some bitches, I'm going to call a towing company, and got the towing company. He said, I work for the city, tow all these cars, that one dude. So they just started towing cars. And so the people got towed, went to have cops. Cops said, you can park there. We've been parking there for 30 years. So it turns out it was coming up to be $13,500 that the city had to pay back to all these people.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because that one employee.
That's what they get. They deserve that.
I'm betting that guy don't work there no more.
Wow.
So
you got it.
It's a bad day.
Yeah,
it's a bad day.
Can he weld?
Yeah, can he weld? Shit. I'm always looking for people that can weld.
Yeah, there was a lot happened the other night. A lot of stuff going on.
Doc's on fire today.
Yeah.
He's on fire. All right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what's on fire, but
no,
he's. I think he's going to get our guest set up over here and make sure he's ready to go. We'll bring James Civali on here in a minute. But in the meantime, a lot of stuff been going on. I went to the Motor Mile opener, man. Great crowd, great car counts.
I'm impressed with Ace's
great
crowd.
Start for them.
I want to say that.
Great crowd.
I mean. All the way around looked like they had a great from what we saw. You and I went together 2 weeks before that.
Wait a minute. Let me ask you anyway. I saw on Facebook where you were there. Where the hell were you? Because I was there for hours and I never saw you.
You don't worry about where I am.
I think you had a suite up there.
You don't worry about where I am.
You have a suite.
Yeah.
You don't worry about where I am. You just keep taking pictures, pal, and inviting people with modifieds on the Late Model Stock Car Show.
Okay.
Yeah, you just keep doing that. We'll ask for you later.
Anyway, I thought it looked like a good crowd for one of their good late model races.
No, they had way more people there this time than when we went. Even me and you went that time, the opener. There wasn't nobody there.
There was more than that, because
I could tell on TV that it was a lot more.
Because of the Cars Tour,
right? Yeah. Still, that was a pretty good crowd.
Yeah,
because Cars Tour advertised it. So
did they?
A lot of local divisions.
They had a lot of social media about it. Cars Tour did.
Well,
did you see it anywhere else besides social media?
No, I didn't. And one of the teams there, actually the team that won the race, said they would like to race there a lot more, but they don't know when they race. So,
wow.
Because it's that worse. So,
well,
I don't know.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You're firing today.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what the man said. I don't know, you know.
Yeah, she's just quoting you. Sort of.
I'm quoting somebody on the team, maybe not the driver.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
One of those people.
All
But
right.
no, it was good. It was a good race. All the racing was good. I mean, the mini stock race, that was awesome. Yeah, I mean, Chuck and AJ, two of the best ever. I mean, running side by side the last 5 laps was great. The limited race was pretty decent. I thought Gary Young was going to go crazy, but he didn't, and that was pretty good because he was pretty pissed off. Got wrecked there in second place going down the straightaway.
He's good at going crazy.
Well, he was pretty mad when I talked to him.
He threatened to whip my ass over there one night.
Did he?
Yeah, he told them all down in the pits.
What
They was
time did you
radioing
leave
to
there?
me. I just stood up there and walked down to see him. He never got my ass whipped.
The best picture I ever seen was Josh Nichols. It's Josh Nichols. Gary Young chasing him with a jack handle. He turns around and takes a picture of him with his phone, and the dude looks all crazy as hell with a jack handle back in his hand. I was like, why would you stop and take a picture of that? But anyway, it looked good. It was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. And before we go any further, this weekend, Southern National finally going to get underway with their $150 entry fee deal. You know, free tires, free pit passes. You guys have been out and about talking to people. What do you think the turnout's going to be?
I think it'll be people's going to see. There's some that's going to sit back and see how this
Yeah,
works.
I think it'll be minimal first. I think it'll be 15 to 20 first week.
Yeah,
and then I
upwards of
think
20.
it'll go upward to 20. I think it'll go 25.
As soon as people start getting feedback from those lower teams,
Correct.
and they say how good everything is, they'll come
I think
do
people
it.
want to wait to see who the hell they got to race against first.
That's exactly right.
I don't think it has anything to do with anything. I think people are like, man, before we pay the 150 and drive all the way over there, is there anybody over there? Can we win? Whatever. That's what I think.
I agree, 100%.
I mean,
I don't know what we're going to see.
Crappy, but yeah.
I'd like to see.
They had,
I
18
I
in
will
first
tell
race?
you the one thing that I haven't had, and hats off to Diaz, I haven't had one single person tell me that wasn't good. Which in the racing world is like a big deal, right? Like everybody.
Yeah, because people bitch about everything.
Right. I'll ask 10 people the same question, and 9 of them that come in here give me a, and you know. But this deal has everybody. Even the people that are somewhat cynics or pissed all the time, they're like, man, doesn't sound like a bad deal. Interested to see how it goes. You know, they're still skeptics, but still, they're not outright bashing it early on.
Right. I'm glad Derek Stoltz can make time
Stoltz
to
and Civali are
watch.
talking to each other on the chat while the radio show is going on.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and introduce our guest. You know, most of the people here watching are waiting to hear from him anyways. But the one-man Taliban, as he's known, also the rocket launcher, I believe. So
he's got a few names.
James Civali, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Corey called me, and he's like, what do you think about having him on there? I was like, yeah, sounds entertaining to me.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be entertaining.
I mean, I seen the front bumper, pictures. So, I mean, from the first race, it looked really good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I don't like anything more than tearing through a field like I did twice that night.
Give us, for the people that don't know who you are that are listening here, because we have more of a late model stock crowd, give them an overview of your career and where you came from and all that.
Oh, that would take too long. But
just a fast one.
I'm from Connecticut, obviously the north. Raced quarter midgets, legend cars, up into modifieds. Raced some northern modified tour when I was about 19 or 20. I started. Couple seasons there, won half dozen races. Just moved down here about 3 or 4 years ago, not to go racing, but just for family change, and ended up getting involved with the Hillbillies again for maybe the 4th time driving for them. Keep going back and forth with them, but we got into Bowman Gray, and I kind of like the everybody hates me aspect, so I keep going back for more.
Right. Well, definitely over there, it's not hard to get everybody to hate you, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, the first time we ever went there was back, I think, 2009, and the only reason we went there was because we were getting a bunch of smack talk from Tim Brown that we couldn't race there. So we showed up, ran them down, faster than them, and moved them. Then they called me the rocket launcher.
Wow. There you go. I guess that's what it takes. Tim, talking trash to you, I'm getting you over there, but it sounds like you fit in with the Bowman Gray crowd pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. It's my style of driving. Just, when I grew up north racing against like Teddy Christopher and Tony Hirschman, Jimmy Blewett, John Blewett, those guys race like this every week, every tour race. That's the way they race up north. So when I came to Bowman Gray, I was like, yeah, let's go, sure. And everybody's like, well, you can't just move people. I'm like, well, what else are we going to do? You can't just follow each other around.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what's the opening race there. The 200 lapper usually it's right around the whole time, except this guy here didn't give a damn about tires. Obviously, they want them saved tires, and there wasn't no saving tires on this one because it was passing on the outside, bouncing the right rear off the wall. I mean, everything. It was a pretty exciting race there. You pissed off a few during that race.
Yeah, I got into a couple of them.
Let's see, Lee Jeffries is mad.
Yeah. The 3, not really sure. I've never met the 3. Don't know who it is.
We'll just move on past that one.
Wow.
Jason Myers is pissed.
Yeah, he pissed me off.
Oh, that's something you two have in common.
What happened to that whole deal there?
There's a little bit of history there, and he rubbed on me the wrong way, and it just lit a fuse in my head and said, yeah, you're not going to do that.
And then, let's see, who else? I don't know. There wasn't many. I mean, it's just a few.
It was just a few. I mean, and the 2 that I spun out were kind of, I wasn't really trying to. It was just we were a little too close in the wrong spot and just jacked them up a little bit and turned them around. I was like, oh, sorry. I wasn't really trying to, and it wasn't like a critical time in the race where I got to spin this guy to do something. I wasn't trying to do that at all. And, I mean, that kind of stuff's going to happen at Bowman Gray.
Yeah.
But then at the end, it was, Tim and I got together and spun out with, I think, 60 or 70 to go, and we came in and got tires, and I said, we're going back to the front and doing this again, and drove around the outside and got to the lead with 15 to go or so.
Yeah.
And kind of knew if the yellow came out, we were going to get wrecked. Just that's the way it goes.
Yeah, what do you think about that? I watched that back on Fans Choice when I got home, and that caution. I don't know here. He's leading the race and drove through hell to get to the front. And Brownloff was catching him. He was probably going to catch you with about 2 to go, maybe. But if he could have got around you, I don't know. But it was starting to be a good race, exciting. All of a sudden, the yellow waves with 5 to go. And they go out there, and I watched on Fans Choice, and two guys took a broom and swept the track, and they didn't sweep up a damn thing that was on the track. So
yeah, they needed a yellow to make it interesting, I guess.
Yeah, and it got real interesting after that. So.
Yeah,
I don't know why any promoter would do anything like that.
Why would you not do that?
Right.
Yeah, it was definitely. I mean, it sucks that we didn't win. Probably would have done the same thing as both of those guys, John and Brian, to get the win, but. It sucked that we didn't win after what we did that night, driving through the field, starting so far in the back. And
why'd you start so far in the back?
Because I screwed qualifying up badly.
Well, that'll do it.
Yeah, went out there for qualifying, and car is really never that great in qualifying anyways, but I was weaving the tires, and right before we got to get going for the green, I unclicked the belts. And I was like, oh, crap. I only got 1 lap, and we're coming to the green flag right now. So I ran qualifying with no belts on, which was not awesome at all.
Wow. You told us why they call you the rocket launcher. Why do they call you the one-man Taliban?
One-man Taliban goes way back. It kind of went dormant for a while, and then when I started driving for the Hillbillies at Bowman Gray, it kind of creeped back up again. I was on a radio show just like this up in Connecticut with Gary Danko and the Bear. Remember the Bear car, the 14 car?
Yeah.
He did a radio show up in Connecticut, and I think it was after I got thrown out of NASCAR for maybe the 2nd or 3rd time. And
we'll talk about that in a minute.
I think I wrecked Rowan Panic at Riverhead, and
I think you wrecked him a couple times.
And they were doing a radio show, and they happened to talk about the modified tour race, how I had wrecked him, and the Bear pipes up. He says, "I'm going to call him the one-man Taliban." And Gary Danko looks at him, what? He's like, you just never know when he's going to strike.
God, buddy.
It was horrible, but it stuck for a little while.
Yeah, you've had a good rivalries up at Rowan. How did all that start?
It's just there's certain guys up north I butted heads with. There's a short list of guys I struggled with, and then there's a long list of guys that I loved racing against. But Rowan Panic was one of them. Every time I got around him, we'd struggle, either bounce off each other, or he'd end up spun out, I'd end up wrecked, and it just constantly butting heads with him.
Yeah, I've seen some good videos of stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a few.
Yeah, I've seen some. What's the Dave Dion story?
Oh, the Dave Dion story's bad.
What's the Dave Dion story?
So, back when I was coming up, and I was coming up real fast, faster than I was probably ready for, I got into a Busch North car at 20 years old. And I was racing an SK modified at Safford, and we had some opportunities come our way, and we were moving up fast, and we were doing really well. And I got this opportunity to run a Busch North car half a dozen times that year. And we showed up to Stafford for our first race. It was actually our second race, but the first race got rained out. So we showed up to Stafford, and we had a really good car. We had a car from can't even think of his name right now. From Maine. Andy Santerre.
Yeah.
Andy Santerre's car. And we show up fast. I think we were 5th in practice, qualified like 7th, fast like crazy. I'm like, I've never driven a full fender car in my life, and I'm in a Busch North car at Stafford. And we pitted with about 30 to go, put right side tires on, came back out, and I could see the leaders. And I'm like, I'm running these guys down. I'm going to get there. And I think I was up to like 6th. I had passed a bunch of cars. I was up to 6th, and Dave Dion was the next guy. Ran him down. And the top 4 was like Andy Santerre, Teddy Christopher, Matt Kobaluk, and I think there was Brian Chu possibly. And Dave Dion was about 3 car lengths back, and I ran him down. And it was like 15 to go. And I'm like, I got to get around this guy and get there. So, I mean, like I had passed 15 cars before that at Stafford, which I knew really well, just crossed him up, came off 4 and underneath him, and he just hung a left. I'm like, oh, all right. And I'm a rookie. It's first race ever. I go down turn 1 and gather it back up. I set him up, come off turn 2. I'm going to drive right by him again, drive it up underneath him, and he just hangs a left going down into turn 3 and puts me in the dirt. And I'm like, man. And now I'm running out of time, and I'm starting to get, like, frustrated. Like, dude, I got to go. So I got back to him in 3 and 4, and I swiped across his rear bumper just right and actually made him crazy tight in the middle of the corner. I swiped across his rear bumper as I was turning down and got to his door off 4. And he hung a left middle of the straightaway, and he had me in the dirt at Stafford on the front straightaway. And I'm like, and I remember Woody Pitcat was jacking my car, and afterwards he told me, he said, when I saw you in the dirt on the front straightaway, he says, I tapped your dad on the shoulder, and I looked at him, I said, what'd you do? He said, pulled the pin on a grenade and threw it. And my dad's like, what? He's like, there's no way we finish this race now. He says, I watched you go down turn 1 and 2. You went on the outside of him. I was on the outside of Dave Dion, and he put me in a fence in the middle of 1 and 2. And I'm like, that's the end of this. I came off turn 2, and I just got on his bumper and started pushing. And I think he locked the brakes down about halfway down the back straightaway, and he just crawled up the hood. I think I had rubber on the cowl. He was just buried underneath this guy and drove him right off the end of the track. And, yeah, that was the end of that. Got parked after that, and I got thrown out of NASCAR for that, too.
He just says it all nonchalantly. Yeah, I got thrown out of NASCAR that time, too.
It sounds like it's happened a lot.
I think at least twice.
Yeah.
Been thrown out of Stafford for I think half a year, too. Yeah.
Well, you won't get thrown out of Bowman Gray, likely.
Probably
I think
not.
anything goes there.
Yeah.
No.
I've learned to not completely explode. I just explode a little bit, and then I calm down right away.
I mean, they carry people on the side of race cars over there. I think you're okay.
Yeah. What'd you say the other day? And you said something. You said you know, I was seeing people on the internet bitching and all this about you, whatever. But you said racing's got soft over there.
Oh yeah, Bowman Gray has definitely gotten soft. When I first went over there, you know, modified racing was when Junior Miller was there. You know, it was beating and banging, and if you didn't beat and bang, you were going to get beaten and banged out of the way.
Right.
So when I showed up there a couple years ago to race modified for David Hill, I was expecting to get roughed up, and I was expecting to rough people up. And I knew I was going to go into that year in points race. Like, I'm going to focus on, I want to run good in points. So I didn't really rough anybody up, but nobody else was roughing anybody up either. I'm like, we're all just riding around here. You know, your twin 25s, everybody just lines up on the bottom, and they just ride around. I'm like, this is kind of boring. And I knew it was boring for the fans. So we ran that first year there, and I finished second in points my first year there. And I'm like, I don't know, we really didn't wreck the car at all this year. Like, we wrecked one race at Bowman Gray. I'm like, this is, like, weird. So when I went back last year for half a year, I knew I was going to race hard. And, you know, it was a little bit harder, but it's like, these guys aren't wrecking. You know, nobody's wrecking the race cars to race here. And it's kind of weird for Bowman Gray to not be wrecking racers. Not that you're supposed to wreck race cars, but everybody's just riding around. Nothing's happening. It's like, this is getting kind of boring. So I was talking to David, and he's used to me from the north. We race hard. We burn that thing to the ground to get to the front. And he's like, dude, go back to the old James and just drive the hell out of it. I said, all right, that's what I'll do. And I showed it in the first race, just drove the crap out of it and drove it to the front.
You know, I think a lot of people see, you know, like I said, I think for 17, 18, whatever years, it's been Tim Brown and Burt Myers over there. They've won championship. Danny won one year, but they protested half the year, so they wasn't even there. And I think, I mean, do you think now, with you including yourself, there's maybe coming a change in the guard? John Boy's good. I mean, you know.
And John Boy's a little bit more like me. Like, he wants to race hard.
Yeah.
You know, and he has no problem with a little bit of pushing and shoving, and that's what I have no problem with.
Yeah, he was beating his back bumper out there tonight. We was talking about. He said, "I love that, man. That's awesome." You know.
I mean, that's modified racing on a small track. I mean, that's why we have bars.
Yeah.
You know, if there was no bars on these cars, I would, you know, you can't touch. But modified is a contact class. I mean, you got to push and shove. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Who is your friends at Bowman Gray?
Not many. I really don't know. I kind of hide in the trailer because I don't know when somebody's going to throw something at me. I don't know.
Yeah, I've noticed that you don't walk around and talk to a lot of people. Not a lot of people come talking to you.
Yeah, most of them don't like that I'm there.
I personally like your trailer, but, you know,
yeah,
it's a cool place.
Yeah, it's hanging out.
Yeah, it sure is.
You know, a lot of the drivers out there, you see their core of fans out in the stands. Now, are you starting to see some Civali T-shirts? And
definitely am. Actually, I remember the night I went there to kind of show Tim Brown that I'm not a horrible driver. And
what year was that?
2009, I believe.
I was there.
It was
that's when I was doing the show with Bad Brad. We were there. Yeah.
It was the same weekend as a Martinsville tour race, and we qualified at Martinsville. And David Hill had already set it up where there was a Bowman Gray car at Bowman Gray. And we qualified at Martinsville, and I got right into our car, and we drove to Bowman Gray. I was still in my racing suit, and we showed up there. And I had never been there before. And jumped in their car that was their Bowman Gray car and ran good. Got to fourth, I think, and I spun out Tim Brown because he was in my way. I was faster than he was. And I was kind of there to –
You didn't really spin him out. He kind of hit the end of the pit wall, but, you know.
No, that was me.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah. So he waited on it.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Okay,
so he knew I was there to break his balls. Yeah. But I did it legitimately. I mean, I ran him down and moved him.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't wreck his race car. I spun him out. You know, I didn't wreck your race car. I just said, hey, get out of the way.
Yeah.
So he waited on me. And I kind of knew it was going to be bad. And I said, this is not going to be good. And I didn't really know what to do. I didn't think he'd waste his car on me, but he did. And I went down in the backstretch and he hung a right and put me right in the barrels or the tires there going into the pits and wrecked the race car. And Roger was not happy about that because all we did was spin him out and he wrecked our race car. But I remember Eric Beers coming up to me the next day at the tour race at Martinsville. He said, dude, I've never seen so many people line up to get your T-shirt. He's like, they sold out in like 15 minutes. He says, they sold every one of yours James Civali T-shirts. He says, that was awesome. And I was like, yeah, it was pretty cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and that's one of the things about over there. I mean, have you ever raced anywhere with an atmosphere like there is at Bowman Gray?
No, absolutely not. There's nothing like Bowman Gray. And that's kind of the way I enjoy going there because there's so many people there. There's so many diehard fans. And just the location of it, you know, in a city, on a college campus, you couldn't put that many people at a place like Concord or Caraway or Hickory. There's just not that many people around.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, when you have it in a city like that, it's like you can get the fans there. And then you can make it cheap enough so you can fill the place.
Then you can start the rivalries. Then you can.
Yeah, I mean, it just breeds everything, and it's a pretty awesome place.
Yeah.
What's the closest thing up north to Bowman Gray?
Man, as far as fan base, Stafford, probably the best short track run place in the Northeast. But as far as racing, it's more like Riverhead. Riverhead's a tiny little track. I mean, Riverhead, I would say, is actually smaller than Bowman Gray. But you can race side by side, which is a little bit different. But, there's not many places like it, that's for sure.
Something that people talk about all the time down here anyways is the difference between modified racing up north and modified racing down here. What's your take on what's the difference?
Modified racing down here is – so there's different ways to race modifieds, obviously. And up north – growing up with Teddy Christopher, that guy wins or loses. That's it. He's there to win. And when you watch somebody on a racetrack like him do what he did, it's like, well, my car is same size, same motor, same tires. I'm going to race like him.
Right.
And it breeds other guys doing the same thing. And then next thing you know, there's 15 guys out there driving like they stole it, ducking off into the grass, body slamming people. And when you got 15 guys doing it, it's like crazy the entire race. And it's a lot of fun to do because you're having a blast doing it. And then there's a lot of guys that can't do it and they just want to race their race and manage their race by themselves and they don't fit in. And they just
they just get pushed out of the way. Because it's like, well, they're going to save tires. Well, we're not, and we're all going to go, and you're going to be back there saving tires by yourself.
Right.
And by the time you get here, you're not getting by us. There's 15 of us doing the same thing. It's just not going to happen. So they struggled. And, I mean, they're very successful still. I mean, Matt Hirschman couldn't do anything on the Northern Tour because he is a methodical racer, saves his tires, gets his car perfect, and he's got the fastest car on the racetrack. But when you're racing against 15 guys that are beating the heck out of each other, he can't do it. So he has to run those races that are tire-saving races, tire management races, and he'll win them. Right. I can't beat him because I can't save the car. I can't make the car as fast as him. Andy Seiss is the same way. Their car, they can make their car fast and they can save their car. But up north, they struggle. I mean, they just get run over. They're in the way. And it's just two different types of racing, and that's the type of racing I came from, and it's definitely more enjoyable for me. But I don't have the fastest car on the racetrack. That's the way it always has been. But I got the car that I can do whatever I want with. You know, I can move around. I can make crazy moves. Where a lot of guys, they have their one line they can run, and that's it. And that's not the way I race.
So the Southern guys just don't race as hard, is what you're saying?
They just don't race as hard. You know, but the other product of that is when you go to Hickory or Caraway, you can't push the gas. Like, you have to run 3/4 of the race.
Myrtle Beach, yeah.
To save tires.
Yeah, Myrtle Beach.
Because, I mean, you'll go to if you do what I do, you're going to lap down the last 10 laps, like, tied to a log. I mean, that's just the way it is. But up north, the track surfaces, the tire, just everything plays out where you could beat the hell out of the thing the whole race and you drop off 3/10. There's no sense in even saving tires. And Bowman Gray is very similar to that. Like, we ran that 200 lapper, even without putting tires on. John Boy didn't put tires on
the whole race.
He wasn't much slower than me at the end. I mean, I was a little bit faster, but I mean, it's not like I was lapping him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't need tires. So you can drive the hell out of it the whole race and don't have to worry about it.
Gotcha. What's your favorite racetrack that you've ever raced on?
Favorite's got to be Bristol. It's just my type of track.
Hey, tell us about the first time you went on track at Bristol with this dude over spot.
This dude over here? So the first time I ever met Ryan Nelson was at...
Just so everybody knows, we hadn't told his damn name in 2 hours. It's Ryan
I was hoping he wasn't going to say his name either.
First time I met him, I showed up to Bristol to run the Hillbilly 79. I don't think I had raced for him at all that year. Just showed up. They want to race Bristol. I'm like, all right, sure, I'll come. So I show up, and I didn't have a spotter. And David's like, I got Ryan. He'll do it. I'm like, all right. So Ryan's like, and Ryan's nervous, shaking like a leaf. And he's like, well, what do you want me to tell you? What do you want to hear? And he's like, looking at me like, you know, I never spotted here. What do you want to know? What do you want to know? I'm like, don't say anything. He's like, what? No, really? I'm like, seriously, don't say anything. He's like, no, but I gotta do something for you. I'm like, I got it. Don't worry about it. And he's looking at me like with these deer in headlights. Okay. And then we ended up on the track. And I don't remember, was it in practice or qualify? Practice. It was in practice. So practice is real hairy there because, you know, a car spins out. I mean, you're going to –
right.
It's easy to wreck in practice. So in practice, he hadn't said nothing. And we ran practice. He hadn't said a word on the radio. And all of a sudden, he comes on the radio, spin off turn 2. And I think Doug Kobe wrecked. And I didn't, and I slowed down, and I didn't see it before he did. But he's like, see, you know, I knew I had to say something.
You got to go back to practice, though, when it skipped. When you come in.
When it skipped?
When it was skipping?
Yeah. Oh, we were struggling in practice.
Give them the mic, Doc. Give them the mic so they can have this interview. Give them the mic here. Hold on, we got technical. Get in here on this. All right.
Tell us about
Hold on, he's got to turn it on. Hold on.
All right, tell us about when we first time we went out. It skipped. Then you pulled in without nobody had the headset on.
Yeah, so we show up there, and you know, Bristol is a very flustering place where if you're not dead nuts prepared, it can be very flustering because you can't hear anything. And if something happens, something goes wrong, you know, it's a whirlwind. Practice is going to be over before you know it, and you got to get on your A game, get that thing fixed, go back out. So I go out there, and right away, car's skipping. I mean, just dead miss, will not go. So I come right back in, and nobody's got their headsets on because it was like a whirlwind of things happening.
And I'm trying to tell him the car's skipping, and nobody's listening because everybody's got their headset off. And I'm screaming on the radio to put your goddamn headset on. And he's the only one that can hear me. And they're all looking at me like, what? And I'm like, put your headset on.
Nobody responds. It's quiet. And I'm like, this guy's a loose cannon. He's going to kill somebody.
Yeah.
And then he comes back out on racetrack. Y'all got me? Just like it was smooth. Then he goes back.
That's
back
the way they do it up north.
And he says, still doing it. He comes right back in. 5-10 minutes, come back out. Still doing it. Come back down again. We might get it fixed here in a minute. Wait a few minutes. It's fixed. We only get like one lap. He's not even had no time to get brakes, heating the brake. He rolls it off in there. I said, this guy's going to kill himself. He never lifts. First lap, no heating the brakes to drive it. This guy's crazy. I told David after race, man, I don't know where you picked this cat up at, but he's crazy. But he's a pretty good old dude, man. He don't really say much. Yeah.
I mean, I'll go 200 laps without saying nothing.
That's what Ryan told me on the way here. He said after the race, he's got a spot for you. So, of course, everybody's up here, you son of a bitch, and he's like, well, he said, well, you're clearing yourself half the time, ain't you?
Yeah, most of the time I don't listen.
Yeah, no, he don't.
So they're all whip Ryan's ass after the race, and he ain't told him nothing for an hour.
I don't clear him. They'll say, what'd your driver do that for? You just got to ask him. He said, well, I seen an inch. I took it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Bunch of people on here.
Derek Stoltz said he missed 2 beers watching you race the other night. First time he's ever watched a modified race.
Kenny Lang and Dennis Hall talking about Franklin County Speedway. Guess you were pretty good there.
Yeah, the Franklin County, I think, is the first time I ever drove for David Hill. I had been racing the 28 car on the modified tour up north, and Chuck Hosfeld was driving for David at the time, and I think Chuck was out of the car, and Woody Pitcat filled in a little bit, and Woody couldn't go to Franklin County at the end of the year. I think it was 2007, and David called me, and I had talked to David about doing stuff for him and bounced it around, and David said, why don't you come run Franklin County for me? And I had never been there. So me and my father drove down, and we were in the middle of nowhere. My dad's like, where are we? He's like, there's no way there's a racetrack out here. We're going. We finally get to this racetrack. I'm like, man, all right. So I show up, and never been there before. We practiced. We were pretty good. And went out for qualifying, and broke the track record. And Roger Hill said to me, he said, that track record's been there since Richie Evans. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, he's like 1982 or 3 or whenever it was.
Yeah.
And he's like, you just broke Richie Evans' track record. I was like, really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
We ended up winning the race, and that was one of those nobody liked that I was there deals, too. They were screaming at the end of the race.
12.86 seconds, I believe is what Kenny said. That's moving around Franklin County right there.
I remember we won the race by beating Burt Myers. And he was probably better than us, and he ran us down and just used him up a little bit and wouldn't let him by us, and we won the race. And, I mean, they were screaming to high heaven that we had traction control in the car. And what had happened was the car was skipping the whole race. Like, it was, just the carburetor miss up off the corner, just kind of a miss. I mean, not that it was helping or hurting us. It was just carburetor had a little miss in it. Well, they were hearing it, and they're just, he's got traction control. He's got traction control. So Roger Hill says to me, he says, burn that thing down at the start-finish line. I want to show him that there's no traction control in this thing. So, of course, I do it. And I'm in the gas, and I'm blowing the tires off this thing. And the whole time, I'm spinning the tires. I mean, it's smoking the hell out of the tires. But the thing's ba-ba, 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 ba-ba. And they're all screaming even more. Like, look at hear that thing. Yeah. So, of course, right in Victory Lane, the tech officials are over there like, they're looking at the box. They're looking at this. And it didn't have traction control. It was just skipping.
Yeah.
But it was pretty funny.
That's awesome. Dallas Daniels wants to know if you've ever raced on dirt.
Not in a big car. Quarter midgets. It's the closest thing I came to that potato growing stuff.
Oh, man. All right. Casey Kepley said to stay off his driver when you're plowing through the field.
Who's his driver?
I don't know.
Who?
Brandon, I believe.
Brandon Ward.
Brandon Ward.
Yeah, I love Brandon Ward.
Black Mamba.
He likes driving like I do, too. He loves racing with me. I love racing with Brandon. We definitely race well together.
What is your goal? I mean, are you looking to win a championship, or hell with it? If it happens, just win every damn race you go to.
The way I've always raced is if you win races, points take care of themselves. So we'll see.
Do you plan on racing as hard as you did the first race?
Yeah.
Every race?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, if they want get mad at us.
We now sell modified parts at Performance Center.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's just a product of that place. I mean, and the thing is, like, I talked to Lee Jeffries after the race, and he was mad, and he gave me the kind of look like, I'll get you at some point, and that's okay. I spun him out in the first race. But again, I spun him out. I didn't wreck his race car. He ran good at the end of the race.
Yeah.
It wasn't malicious. It was just bumper tag in the middle of the corner, and he spun out. Yeah, I was being a little bit over-aggressive, but I didn't wreck him. And that's one of the things that gets missed on a lot of guys at Bowman Gray. They think I'm trying to wreck them. It's like, if I wanted to wreck you, you'd be peeling that thing off the guardrail. I mean, it's not difficult to wreck somebody. It's more difficult to move somebody without wrecking them, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just get by you without wrecking you. And that's the thing that a lot of guys miss on me. It's like, oh, you're out there just wrecking people. I didn't wreck anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, I really didn't. And that's what gets missed on a lot of these guys. It's like, okay, yeah, you can move me like I moved you. No problem. I'm not going to be mad.
Do you think that's a product of them just getting soft, like you said earlier?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, they're not used to it. They're like, well, I'm running my race too. It's like, well, I understand that, but this is how I'm running my race.
Right.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I mean, you seem like one of those guys. If they not do the same thing to you, you don't care.
Yeah, no. It doesn't bother me at all. Like Brian Lofton pushed me off the end of the track to win the race. I would have done the same thing if I was in his shoes. The only thing that really screwed that up was John Boy making it 3 wide, which I would have done the same thing as him too.
Right.
Just I didn't expect him to jam it in there, and I was kind of turning down on Brian to try and pinch him down, and ended up 3 wide, and I spun out and got clipped in the left front and ripped it off, and sucks, but that's 3 to go at Bowman Gray.
John Boy was trying out dirt down there.
Yeah, he was in the grass.
He was definitely in the grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. At Bowman Gray, do you expect things to get, the more you race there, the more you're rougher and stronger with them? Do you expect them to get that way as the season goes? You think you'll bring that back out?
I kind of hope so. I mean, that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. Like me, John Boy, Brandon, we like racing that way, and we want to race that way. We want to be able to run side by side and kind of push on each other. I mean, that's just the way it is. Like, that's the only way it's going to be exciting. If we all just fall in line and be too nervous, like, oh, if we touch him, he's going to get us next week. No, just you go out there and race. Drive that thing.
Right. Do you think that's why Burt and Tim Brown have had so much success there recently?
I really
everybody's
do. Well,
kind of soft.
I mean, if you look at
I think everybody watches theirself around them a whole lot.
They do. I mean, they definitely give them the room to get to the front. And it's kind of frustrating in a way, but they do a lot of them do the same thing for me, especially my first year there. I mean, I was
they are
that's because they're scared as hell.
There's that too. But if you look at Tim and Burt, I mean, their cars are definitely the fastest cars on the racetrack.
Oh, yeah.
Every week they are the fastest cars. And they've been there for 20 years, and I've only been there 2 seasons. I mean, I don't expect to be faster than them. I expect to be able to race with them and beat them on the correct night when they are struggling or they have a bad time. I mean, yeah, we're a 4th or 5th place car. Doesn't mean I can't win races. Doesn't mean I can't go forward. Just I might not have their speed, but I'm going to make it hard on them.
Fastest car don't always win a race.
Exactly. That's the point. I mean, like that 200 lapper, I wasn't the fastest car. Tim and Burt were faster than me.
I don't know. You was pretty much the fastest car the whole damn 200 laps.
I was driving a lot harder because when I got to 3rd, it was like 100 laps in, and I ran down Tim and Burt, and I was watching them, and they were not trying at all. They were riding around, and I was hanging that thing out for everything it had, and I ran them down. But as soon as I got like 2 car lengths to Burt, that guy lit it up because he did not want me to get there to him before anybody else.
Yeah.
But they're definitely fast. They prepare their cars really well, and they're real focused on winning championships, and that's what they've been doing.
How is it driving for the Hills? They seem like the coolest group of people.
It's the coolest group of people. I mean, it's one of those groups of people.
I mean, party, race, whip ass. That's pretty much the 3 things a day.
Yeah, we just have fun. We unload the car. Is the car all right? Yep, it's normal. All right, perfect. We all just lay back and make sure the car is not going to fall apart and just say, all right, close enough. Where everybody else is, going crazy, making the cars perfect, and it's like, it is what it is. I mean, just give me 4 tires and I'll run the hell out of it.
I think on the TV show last year when we was on the front row, I think Jason called you a rookie, right? Wasn't that something like that?
Yeah, there's guys like that. Oh, well, he doesn't race here all the time. He doesn't know how to restart here. It's like, really?
But last year in a 25 lapper, we was running 8th in a 25 lapper. Well, he was beating on Jason. Jason, man, you're in the transfer spot. You could have got the transfer. He looked him in the eyes and said, I don't give a damn about a transfer. I'm going to go to the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Jason got mad at me for trying to pass him. He's like, why are you trying to pass me? It's like, I'm looking around like, is this guy serious?
That's what we're supposed to do.
Aren't we supposed to race? Like, he's like, oh, you're not supposed to be trying to pass me then? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Then I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, I mean, if you watch Cup racing today, that's kind of their theme. They get mad at people for racing them too hard.
Yeah, that is
passing them.
That's a theme of a lot of racing around here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
For real. For sure. Checking in on the chat here a little bit.
Derek Stoltz is like your biggest fan now.
I
want to race with him.
Huh?
I think he's got a crush. I don't
Something.
know. Not sure.
I can't race cars with fenders, though. I tear them all off.
He asked Tommy Neal the other week.
Well, they would actually like to see you in there.
No, there's no way in hell I'm letting you in my car.
No, Tommy.
Yeah, so the first time I was ever in a full-bodied car was actually a Busch North car. And in that race with Dave Dion, I passed like 15 cars into green. I mean, I was fast. I was the only car with tires. But I was passing everybody, middle of the corner. I just get to them, and I'd turn underneath them because I just had better tires. Well, every car I was getting to, right in the middle of the corner, I'd roll up on them, and they'd just drift up the hill, and I'd drive by them. And about the fourth car I passed, I realized I was hitting them all. I had no idea. I was jacking them all up. But I was going right. I was jacking them all up and just moving them up the hill and driving by them. I had no idea.
Damn, these guys are getting tight in the center right now.
Yeah, they're just drifting up the hill in the middle of the corner. I had no idea I was jacking them up because I was a modified guy. And when you hit somebody, it's like your head goes forward, your visor goes flying open, and you hit the guy.
Yeah.
Well, in a full-body car, you don't know it until the hood creases up. It's like, oh, I'm hitting that guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anthony Gilson wants us to ask you about your nickname, the GOAT.
Oh, that's bad. So, where I work, there's a bunch
You got a lot of nicknames, by the way.
Yeah, I got a lot of nicknames.
You haven't said Skip not one time.
Not enough. Skip. But, yeah, the guys at work were breaking my balls, and I think I started racing at Bowman Gray the same year I started my job at Ganassi Racing. And we won 25 lapper or something, and they all started nicknaming me the GOAT just because none of them knew who I was. They didn't know me from racing. They just knew me as working there, and I won a race at Bowman Gray. And then they started hearing all my background stories, this, that, and the other thing, and they all started, they dubbed me the GOAT at work, and it kind of stuck, and everybody calls me the GOAT now. I don't know.
Now, is that still where you work?
Yeah.
What do you do there?
I do all the rear suspension, build it all.
Is Gary Putnam over there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you and him have that in common, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's quite a few modified guys there. Actually, Anthony Gilson's from upstate New York. He raced at Chemung and a B-mod, I think he called him. Yeah.
What do you tell your other friends from up north? I mean, they ask you about Bowman Gray all the time. Is any of them say they'd love to come down and do this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, every once in a while, like when I run up to a race, they just think it's hilarious. They're like, dude, man, you like racing there? I'm like, it's a lot of fun. I says, the track's actually racy. Like, it's not as bad as it looks on TV. Like, it's racy. The track's got a lot of grip. Tires got a lot of grip. And it's a lot of fun. We've had Jimmy Blewett, Teddy Christopher. There's been guys from the north that have come down. We'll probably try and get somebody to come down at some point. I was really trying to get Ryan Priest to come for that opening show, and he just couldn't do it, but it ended up raining out anyways. But
Yeah, you got a 100-lapper coming up this week. Just same game plan, just qualifying balls to the wall.
Same game plan. Try to qualify better. I'd really love to be top 4, but we're struggling qualifying a little bit. I don't think we'll be that fast.
So they're going to have that Colors Ed Challenge again where the top 4 gets how many thousands of dollars. Tim Brown said in the paper he would never do it because he's raced for points and he don't think it's a good thing. They offer you $4,000 or $5,000 to start in the back. What are you doing?
Absolutely.
Like you said,
why wouldn't you?
I got 100 less laps to get to the front. It's going to be entertaining.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer. I mean, why wouldn't you start last?
Oh, they don't. I mean, last year it got up to at one time it was $7,000 or $8,000, and people still wouldn't do it. John Boy did it every time.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, honestly, every time I've raced there in one of those long-distance races where you got the cone, I mean,
the cone is the game changer.
Oh, the cone's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. Like, it's not. If you have a fast race car, you are going to get to the top 6.
And once you're in the top 6, all it is one more restart to try and get to the top 4. I mean, it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
As long as you don't get wrecked. I mean, that's a very good factor. I mean, not wrecked.
And the thing is, you're drawing the whole field anyway, so your ass might start back there to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer for me. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty cool thing they offer to try to, make it a little bit more fun for the fans and, have a little more challenge than everybody just riding around, like you say, riding around. Because in the last 10 years, the sportsman class has outclassed the modifieds by far, as far as action and racing on the track. But it's good to see the other day, not just you. There was a lot of people, I guess, that saw you and like, hell, if this dude can do it. I noticed everybody was a little more racy.
Yeah, it definitely was. And I hope that kind of becomes a trend. I mean, that's just a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Anthony Gilson says that they'll make you in the top 4 with their magic stopwatch. Too good for the fans not to.
Yeah, it's crazy. Bowman Gray, when I went there a couple years ago and I started going back there full time, I had no idea they had no transponders. I'm like, what do you mean there's no transponders?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, they got a stopwatch. I'm like, what? I was like, in this day and age, we got stopwatches?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's always the running joke of, playing favoritism with the stopwatch. Who knows? I mean, you just never know. But I wish they had transponders just to make it easier.
It wouldn't be as much fun, though.
No.
It'd be one less thing to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
The cars could actually line up in the right place and all that stuff.
That'd be horrible.
Yeah. Who needs that?
I think we need to take stopwatches to more of these races. I mean, we did it at Martinsville.
Yeah, I've done it at A Speedway before, and they just really didn't know it. But they thought they had transponders a couple of times. I'm up there with my phone.
Some of the first races I promoted at Franklin County Speedway, we had stopwatches, and sometimes they'd miss the lap. We just make it up. Just roll on. I think, what they got run? Yeah, it's close. Yeah. Put that down.
It's what every racer that spent $200,000 last year wants to hear.
What?
No stopwatch. Yep, you're 30th. Go ahead.
Exactly.
Todd Gilliland didn't have too big of a problem with it, did he?
No, I don't know. I guess.
Yeah, he was a little upset at Martinsville. At Martinsville a couple of years back, 3 or 4 years ago, for the late model race, the transponders went out. So they decided to group qualify and use stopwatches.
I forgot about that.
Dumbest decision I've ever heard in my life.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, it worked well.
And Todd Gilliland was faster by miles than anybody else. And he started deep in the heat race.
No, was it? Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, in the heat race he started.
Really?
Yeah.
That sucks.
Justin Bonsignor said bring a second car.
Oh, there's a second car every week, bud.
I know. That guy ever used to drive it.
Well,
every once in a while.
The funny story with Justin Bonsignor. So I was racing for the Hillbillies in New Smyrna, and we were tearing up some race cars. Got into it one night with Teddy Christopher, but so we go down there. Of course, the Hillbillies, they have everything they need. I mean, they extra motors, extra car. They bring everything for speed weeks, and we were fast, ran good, and I think it was the 50-lapper Wednesday night show. Justin Bonsignor was just walking around the pits, and I was kind of friendly with Justin. I'm like, dude, why don't you run the backup car? He's like, really? So I, introduced him with David, and David knew who he was. He's like, yeah, run the backup car, no problem. So he got in the backup car, and he's running around, mid-pack, and I was running second or third, and Teddy dumped me going into turn 3, coming to the checkered. And I had gotten into him the night before, and he spun me out. It's like, all right, yeah, I kind of expected that. He was coming. And, of course, I'm trying to save the thing, going through 3 and 4, and I end up spinning out and coming down the hill off 4 backwards. And, of course, out of the corner of my eye, whose car do I see? My backup car. Drives right into me. Rips the rear end out of both race cars. Cars are destroyed.
God.
Destroyed. I remember he hit me, and I spun him back around, and I'm looking back forward towards the start-finish line, and he's driver's side against the wall, rear end up on a Nerf bar, and he's sliding across the finish line. I'm like, ooh, that's bad. So Justin's in, full panic. Like, oh, my God, I wrecked the race car. And they're, trying to load it that night. So the next morning we go back to the racetrack, and they are thrashing to get these cars done. And Justin walks in with me, and we're like, he feels horrible. He assumes he's not racing. David's like, no, we're going to fix it. You're going to go back out there. He's like, what? He's like, really? He's like, yeah. So we're all kind of hanging out, and Justin's, helping him on the car, and I'm just kind of hanging around. I'm like, hey, Justin, want to go to lunch? He's like, what? I was like, yeah, let's go to lunch. They got this. Let's go to lunch. We ended up going to Wing House, and we're all working on the race car. And he's like, you just leave like that? I was like, yeah. These guys got it. Don't worry about it. And he couldn't believe it. He's like, I can't imagine. Yeah. Show up with a helmet bag. Do my best. Go home with a helmet bag.
What's the deal with Skip?
Skip, we had a bunch of things up north with a bunch of our friends. When I grew up running SKs, we were really friendly with the two Rocco brothers, Keith and Jeff Rocco, Doug Kobe, Eric Burr, my brother. There was a big group of people. We always go out, bars, and have fun. And this Skip, Harry, and Mo started happening where Keith Rocco would call this one Skip. And then when you did something to somebody, you'd call him Harry. Like, Harry, what did you do? And it was just this thing. We started throwing it back and forth for like 5 or 6 years. We'd all call each other different nicknames for different situations. And I just clung on to Skip, where I call a lot of people Skip. And it's just something that we've been doing for a long time. And, you know, when you see an old friend, you're like, Skip, what's going on? And everybody's like, why do you call him Skip? It's like, because I've been calling him Skip for years. Like, it's one of those things.
Yeah, I've seen that in the comments several times. I had to ask.
Yeah, because like, I walked in the holler the other night. It was Skip. And I was like, what the hell, man?
There was one SK race. I got into a guy's car I'd never met before. I was at Stafford walking around. It was a fall final at Stafford. And this guy had 2 cars. And he's like, hey, you want to run the other car? I'm like, sure. Teddy was driving one car, and the other car was there. He's like, want to drive this car? Teddy's driving that car. You want to run this car? I'm like, sure. So we go out there, and I remember driving it to the front. Me and Teddy drove to the front because we had to start dead last. We didn't even qualify. It was 38 SK modifieds. And we were just having a blast. Drove the thing to the front. I think I got to third, and the thing was just way too loose. And it was fast like crazy, but way too loose. And I remember bouncing off Ryan Priest. He was still running SK. And I was laughing like crazy, and I'm sure he wasn't. But I remember bouncing off him and just about wrecking him in the middle of the straightaway. And then I was fading back because I was too loose, and Keith Rocco gets to me and gets underneath me, and he kind of squeezed me a little bit just because he was a little bit tight, and he squeezed me off turn 4. And I was dying laughing. It was like 10 to go. So we went down the back straightaway, and I went across his rear bumper because I had big horsepower. I went across his rear bumper and got him jacked up at the end of the straightaway, and he just about wrecked going into turn 3. Well, they black flagged me because I was driving like an animal, right? So after the race, Keith Rocco says to me, Harry, what were you doing? I was like, it was a lot of fun, wasn't it? He's like, yeah, but man, you almost got me. It was pretty funny.
You've been in some controversies throughout your career here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that's just you. It's just your personality, just who you are.
I just race hard, and a lot of the controversy comes from me not using my head, like just driving the crap out of a race car and not really thinking about what I'm doing when I'm doing it. And then when you look back, it's like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. But I did it, and it's kind of got to live with it. But
yep. He'll be just fine at Bowman Gray.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think there's more owners up north. The modified community up north seems to be a little more old school, where there's still a lot of those older guys that own a bar or own a wrecking company or own a whatever, right? And that's kind of their gig, and they kind of have their own mechanic guys, and they get people to work on it. I think it's more than pronounced up there, right?
It definitely is. The modified owners up north are old modified guys. You know, a lot of them you see, like an Eddie Partridge.
Right.
I mean, he's an old-time modified guy, and he just wants to race. And that's just the way those guys are, and they don't care. Like,
I have a couple friends up there, and I've been to Stafford and Waterford and a few of those others, and I don't think people down here understand like the way that deal works. It's not like everybody. I'm not saying there's not full-time people. I'm not saying it's not the best of the best, because the cars are beautiful. But what's interesting is, to me, is there seems like there's guys or groups of guys more prevalently that have been racing for 50, 60 years, right? Old greaseball gangster guys with big gold chains that own cars.
Yeah.
And they don't give a shit what you say. They want a driver because they know they're not driving it.
Yeah.
So if one of their family's friends' kids can't drive it, because everybody can get a shot, because all they give a shit about is winning, right? That's it. Like, if you're big enough to get in, you get in. No, you're not good enough. Get out, right? Like, I mean, there's no pride, no nothing. We're here to win. That's it. Kiss my ass.
Yes.
And it just seems like the ownership up there, I have quite a few friends, it is different. And it's that same ownership that you can, they experience the same things that every races do with, late model stock car counts being down or whatever. But it's intriguing to me how that place, how up there, that's like their deal. That's like their thing. It's not like they got 18,000. Yes, there's some B mods at Chemung or whatever else. But
yeah, but there's full fields and there's
right. It means something to those
3
people,
nights a week.
right? Like I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying Bowman Gray people don't get, but them people, I mean, all the time, you're out if you're not in.
Oh yeah,
right. Like you're not
Definitely.
winning, you're out. That's
Definitely.
it. I'm here to win.
And that's the way, looking at it as a driver going into it. Like if you don't go out there and drive the shit out of it and win, you don't even show up.
Right.
And that's the way they are.
Right.
And that's when I got out of a legend car and got a modified. It's like you better go now, or don't even waste your time.
Right.
And that's, right away. I only ran 1 year at Waterford and 1 year at Stafford before I got into a tour car.
The other thing I'm surprised about is the amount of money them guys up there will spend.
Yes.
Like, I find it intriguing that them dudes, it's not like we're just all show and no go. Them guys will spend some wood on motors, number one, big chunks. And number two, it's not like they just got one.
No.
They
No.
got a and I'm not a guy for these, but I think it's like a Spafco and a this and a that and a right. I mean, there's all these different, and they you're either the best or they throw your shit away and they buy another one. They don't care,
And they do.
in their basements, in the snow outside 4 feet deep.
It's nothing for. There's probably 15 teams up there between SKs and tour cars that it's nothing for them to go through 6 cars a year. Like, that Troyer car's not right now. Let's go get a Spafco.
That's it.
Oh, the Spafco's not working. Get an LFR.
Right.
Let's do it.
And they'll just keep going around. And you know what? They might be back to them in 2 months from now.
The biggest one for that was Teddy Christopher. For years. Like, whoever the engine builder of the week was in his car. Yeah. And think.
But how could you say it was wrong? You win every freaking
Well, that's
race
the
he
thing.
competed in.
And the other thing is Teddy Christopher. If you're
Right.
an engine builder, you want to be in that car.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the Teddy's was kind of that guy. Like, he didn't have allegiance to anybody.
Yeah.
If yours is better, get that thing out, put that thing in.
We'll write the check
That's it.
for it, and
That's
then here's it.
That's it. Get it. And he had owners behind him that when you need one, you get 4.
Right.
And just
That's the one thing that's in. I just think that I would like to see the driver ratio to people that own this stuff be scaled more like that is up there. Even younger guys, right? That like their dads can't all in afford it. Like running the Cars Tour or something, where they spend. What's amazing is 2 or 3 middle group guys will get together and form one team.
Yeah.
Because they want it to be successful. So I think it just keeps up there. It doesn't seem like it's as prideful as it is down here, where I'm going to show you, this guy's got a chassis, this guy's got a motor, this guy's got a toolbox, boom. We put it all together. Now we're racing. We weren't racing a month ago. We're racing now.
It's
Let's
not
do
as
it.
much as it is down here as mom and daddy puts him
100%.
in a car. Up there is Guido's got a car,
100%.
and he don't give a shit. He wants a guy to drive the
Right.
thing. You can drive
and he wants to win.
There you go.
That's
Yeah.
it.
That's all he wants. Yeah.
And I think that
and he'll pay for it.
Makes the competition quite a bit better, I think.
I
I'm
do
not
too.
saying the competition's not good here. I'm just saying.
Yeah, watching a tour race on TV or something at Stafford and Thompson, it looks different than I see stuff here, because I'm going, these some bitches crazy, I mean, they're just balls to the wall the whole time. I mean, it's enjoyable, and then I go to one here and I go, it's not the same thing.
It's not. No.
Yeah.
That's like when I spotted at Thompson. You qualified our car because we run Langley with Spencer.
Oh, yeah.
And that was my first time ever been at a tour race up north. And when the green flag fell, sparks.
It's on.
It was the whole time. It wasn't they rode, they laid back.
Ryan's up there having a damn heart attack. Oh, God, car upside down, a car on top of you.
No, it was just. And you had Spencer Davis driving, and we drove.
Well, there you go.
No. But no, I mean,
car inside. You're sliding to the grass, okay?
No, he actually drove up to about 5th or 6th.
Are you okay?
I know. Well, he drove the hell out of it.
And then we fell back, and we was on our way home. We was in the holler, and I said, David, wonder what happened? He said, his little arms got tired. but it's a whole different atmosphere, and it's just.
And we have diehard fans here, but they have fans up there. I mean, they'll stab you in the neck with a pencil. You know, they're diehard.
But that one little kid up there, he won. His dad and I are friends. A little Moeller kid. He win a race at 12, right?
Yeah.
And they got ratted out. It was a huge deal.
Yeah, he was way too young.
Right. His dad was all over it.
Yeah,
good people.
Yeah,
good people.
Checking in with the chat, James Wall wants me to ask you about the patented Civali move, rear view mirror driving, ripping off people's right fronts.
It's usually left fronts, but yeah,
left fronts for sure.
Right.
Yeah, I got a few people with the rear nerfs. it's just something that I've always.
They hang a long way out there.
Yeah, they hang a long way out there, and these open wheel cars, it's real susceptible, and I've learned a lot about my surroundings and how to race and keep the car underneath me and know what's going on. And like I said to him, I clear myself type deal. I mean, I know very well where my distances are, and I know when I'm not clear and I'm still going to come down anyways.
Ron's like, no, we don't.
I've seen him run 3 through the infield. I said, you had about... Oh, I had enough. They know.
They know. So there's times where, if somebody's giving me a hard time and they shouldn't be, I'll wait for the perfect opportunity for their tire to be lined up with a rear Nerf bar and jazz the brake a little bit and freak them out. But I actually won my first tour race that way. Didn't school him, but felt like I got the best of Reggie Ruggiero at Stafford.
A guy on my Facebook today was super pissed, like it happened last week.
Yeah.
I mean, he was mad as hell.
Yeah,
this dude was madder than hell.
So that was actually a week after we were in Victory Lane at Loudon, my rookie year in the tour. We went to Victory Lane at Loudon, but we didn't win the race. John Blewett actually won the race. It was a yellow flag on the last lap, and he was in front of me by like 3 feet. But they didn't have that until about 3 hours after the race was over, so they had me in Victory Lane. So that kind of sucked that we didn't win Loudon. But the next week we go to Stafford, and that was a very controversial race, and that was probably the only controversial race that I came out on top. Usually my controversial races, I end up on the bottom of the pile. But we won that race, beating Reggie Ruggiero at the end. And we won that race on a restart where I think it wrecked the entire field. But I didn't touch anybody. I promise. I jumped the restart on Tony Hirschman, and that's when the whole Hirschman feud kind of started with me and them. I jumped the restart second to Tony Hirschman, and he spun the tires and ended up head on at Stafford at the start-finish line, and John Blewett ended up on the catch fence. And I looked up in the mirror after we take the green, and I look up in the mirror, and I actually said to myself, did I do that? And we ended up running the rest of the race, leading, and Reggie Ruggiero ran us down from way back. I mean, he was 4/10 faster than we were, ran us down. And it was 30 to go. And my car, and we had been racing Flemke chassis, which is the same as Reggie Ruggiero worked there too, and owned it with Eddie Flemke. And he ran us down, and my car owner was spotting for me, Don King. And Don actually said to me with 35 to go when he got to me, he said, do you think we should just let him by? And I'm like, what? Let him by? No. So I raced hard, and Reggie got to us, and he kept trying to cross us over. Go into turn 3 and drift up a little bit and try and get a run off turn 4. Well, every time he'd drift up, I'd watch him. And right as he was rolling to my rear bumper and he was starting to come down, I'd jazz the brake. He drove right into the rear bumper. And as soon as he ran into the rear bumper, I took off. And I'd get away for 3 or 4 laps, and he'd run me back down. He'd do the same exact thing again. I'm like, he's going to do it again. So I'm watching him. He drift up in 3 and 4, and right as he's getting in the gas and he's coming down the hill, he's jamming the brake. Drove right into the back bumper. I took off again. And I am running for my life. And I'm a rookie, and Reggie Ruggiero was all over me. And I am running for my life. I remember going by a lap car, 3 wide. I had left sides in the grass. He was on the outside. We split lap cars. I mean, I was driving my heart out to win this race. And it was like 3 to go, and Reggie was getting to me. And he come off turn 4 with a big run. And he just got free, and he ended up spinning out all by himself trying to get to me. And it was like coming to 2 to go when he spun out, and he went into the grass, and he ended up coming back on the track, but there was nobody else. The next guy was 3/4 of a lap back. And I'm like, oh, my God, we're going to win the race. And I remember in Victory Lane saying to Don King, I'm like, do you still want me to let him by? Like,
yeah.
It was pretty awesome.
I've seen Doug Smith used to be the announcer at Caraway and Concord here places.
Yep.
I remember this, the North-South shootout with Brian DeSant.
Oh, that was bad.
Oh, that was yeah. What happened to that little deal?
That was actually a little bit scary. Like, that was the first time I thought, I was like, oh, my God, I'm going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Like, Brian Dozat is kind of a pain for me. I've used him up before, and I've used him up in the wrong places, but I've struggled with Brian. But what happened was we were struggling at North-South Shootout, running mid-pack. Just the car wasn't very good. And Brian Dozat put tires on. And I'm running side-by-side with Andy Seiss coming through the dogleg, and I'm like less than quarter throttle. I mean, I'm holding on for dear life. And me and Andy are both doing the same thing.
And I saw in the mirror Brian Dozette was behind us going through 1 and 2, and I knew he had tires. But I had no idea he was going to stick it in there. And he drove it in on the apron in the dogleg, 3 wide. And he got me in the left rear. And, I mean, I spun around like a top, and I hit front bumper off the dogleg at Concord. And that was like, oh, my God, this is going to hurt.
Yeah.
And I got out of the car, and I was pissed. And Brian Dozette destroyed his car. I mean, his car was absolutely demolished. Andy Seiss got banged up. He ended up winning the race, but he fixed his car. But I went up to the window, and I didn't know what I was going to do when I got there, but I was just so mad. And he was taking his helmet off, and I just started laying in on him and screaming at him and
But he done it
smacking him in the
nonchalant.
face.
He got out to win the net real slow. James did, and then he starts walking over, and we think he's going to ask if he's all right. Then you seen the haymaker start coming. That's all she wrote.
Yeah, it just got to me like, dude, you almost really hurt us bad.
Yeah, that's the dogleg Concord's a scary deal right there.
Definitely scary.
Yeah.
Jennifer Beauchamp wants to know about bumping the pace car.
I haven't hit the pace car at Bowman Gray, but I've hit it at a few other places. Stafford, I definitely hit the pace car a few times. Just for fun. I mean, just, lining up behind the pace car, you'd go up there and bump them. It was pretty funny. Did it at Stafford and Thompson. I've never done it at Bowman Gray.
Gotcha. Shane Bailey said that Bonsignor is taking notes for Stafford right now.
Oh, really? Yeah. Justin, I tell you, the first time I raced against Justin, and the reason why we were friends when I was racing with him, I showed up to Riverhead, and he was a Riverhead guy. He was full-time Riverhead. And when he was 16 or 18, he started his first tour race was at Riverhead. And we were racing, and I think I was top 5 car, and Justin Bonsignor ran us down. And it was like 15 or 20 to go, and I just pulled over, let him by. Because I knew he was faster. I knew he wasn't racing for points. This was his only tour race. Let him by, and he ran down. I think he finished 4th or 5th in a tour race at Riverhead for his first time ever. I'm like, that was a good deal. And he come up to me after the race, he's like, why'd you pull over? I'm like, dude, you're fucking coming, just go. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're the only guy that gave me any room. I'm like, why am I going to slow you down? Just go ahead. And since then, like, we were awesome friends. Anytime he'd race on the tour, he'd come over to me, and we'd conversate, we'd go out to dinner. I mean, I had a lot of fun with Justin.
Yeah, you raced a tour race at South Boston this year. What happened up there? You had a good car, but something.
Yeah, we struggled. Car wasn't great. That track is really fast now, and the modifieds are super fast there. But we had some issues with the ignition, and we ended up having to start last. It was a tough race for us.
Dallas Daniels wants to know if you and Tim Brown still have heat.
That's up to him. I mean, he's the one with the bad juju. I don't know. I mean, I kind of forget about everything, and I feel like he brings up little things like, I don't even remember when that happened. I don't know. Did I hit you at some point? I don't know.
How about Leslie Wayne?
Oh, Leslie Wayne.
It's L.W. Miller.
Leslie, so back to the Dave Dion thing. Leslie Wayne got into me at Martinsville when I was racing the 28 car, spun me out late in a race.
Let's just be clear here. You're talking about L.W. Miller.
Yeah.
But you're calling him what?
Leslie Wayne.
Okay, just wanted to be clear. Keep going.
So he was running the 36 car, the Baker car, and I was in Don King's 28, and we were running good. We were running 3rd or 4th, and he got to us and spun us out. And I was pissed. And we put tires on. We carved back through the field.
There's a reoccurring theme here.
So I get back to 5th, and LW was like 4th. And I remember my dad never comes on a radio. He comes on the radio. I was about 6 or 7 car lengths back, but I was going to catch him. My dad knew I was going to catch him. He comes on the radio, and he never says anything. He says, please don't Dave Dion this guy. So I get to him, and I never did nothing. I kind of just let it go, and I got to his bumper. I never moved him. I never even ran into him. It was right at the end of the race. It was like 3 or 4 laps to go. And I just rode behind him, and I let it go. And then after that, we raced hard together after that and never wrecked each other. We were just racing hard. And then we were running for points on a Southern Tour, and he was just kind of running his mouth at the end of the year and said he was going to wreck us, and it was for the championship if he wrecked us.
You were back with the Hillbillies then.
In the Hillbillies, yeah. And he spun us out at Charlotte, the last race of the year, and told everybody he was going to do it, and he did it.
and Roger Hill was not happy about it at all. So we ended up coming back through the field a little bit and ended up getting caught in a wreck, just a racing deal with Jason Myers and Andy Seiss. Somebody got crossed up and spun out, and I ended up breaking the car. So we come in, and we're going to fix this car and go back out. And Roger Hill said to me, "That boy doesn't finish this race." I said, "Okay." So we went out there, and I was actually, even with the left front bent to smithereens, I actually ran LW down. And I was inching towards his bumper, and I was getting to him. We were 30 laps down, and I was getting to him, and Brian Dozat, this is where the Dozat thing started, was a lap car, and LW was trying to go on the outside of him, and I made a decision to use the lap car and push Dozat into LW and took everybody out, and neither of us won the championship. Burt Myers ended up winning the championship.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
But that's not all. What happened?
So then, after the race was over, LW decided to come down to our trailer, which was not a good idea.
That's not probably good.
No. It was pretty
and
bad.
just people, so people know the Hillbillies, they roll about 30 deep.
Yeah, there was plenty of us.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
David Hill said he looked like a spider monkey. Said he went through the double doors in the air.
So I'm trying to stay in. I'm trying to stay in the trailer because I know if I snap out, it's very bad. I do things that I don't want to do. It's kind of like those blackout moments where it's bad. So I'm trying to stay in the trailer, and I'm talking to my brother. My wife's there. Joe Pelham, who was spotting for us. And they're all upset. Everybody's upset. Like, man, we were so close to winning the championship. All we had to finish was 10th in the race to win the championship. And there was only 16 cars there.
Yeah.
I was pissed. So we're sitting there. And I can hear them. They're all yelling outside, and the yelling's getting louder and louder and louder. And I know who's out there. And David's yelling. And Joe Pelham says to me, he says afterwards, dude, all of a sudden, your eyes just went like glass. And he said, next thing I knew, you were out the back door. He said, you flew out the back door, and I jumped over the entire pile and just started throwing fists. I didn't even know what I was hitting. So when I get up, I get dragged out of the pile, and I get up, and I remember seeing it on the video of me getting pulled back into the trailer. My brother's got me, and he's yanking me back in the trailer, and my shirt is completely ripped in half. I'm like, how the hell did my shirt get ripped in half? I don't even know how that happened. My brother's like, when you took off, I grabbed your collar to stop you. And he said, I ripped your shirt right off as you went out the back door. I was like, oof. I says, I just snapped out.
Too bad that video is not on YouTube anymore.
It used to be on YouTube. It was pretty awesome, but I haven't been able to find it.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. I was hoping I'd get to see it after you told that story. Wow. Benny Brazel said that the racing world needs more honest drivers like this guy. Admits when he moves a guy and expects it back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, a lot of the times I move people, they look at it like I'm trying to wreck them. And like I was telling you before, I'm not trying to wreck people. The people that I wreck, it's blatant. There's no question. I will wreck. If I'm going to wreck you, it's going to be blatant, obvious. No one needs to question it. It is what it is.
You know what you're doing, too, because there's a difference between you spinning someone out and wrecking them.
And that's the point. And I get frustrated with guys that get mad at me, like, you tried wrecking me. It's like, I feel like telling them, if I really wanted to wreck you, you would be wrecked. I wasn't trying to wreck you. There is no try in that statement. Like, it's not a thing.
But when he does do it on purpose, like I said, he don't talk much on radio, but when he does it, he keys up. He won't do that again. Yeah. That's all he says. He won't do that again. That's when you know it's intentional.
Yeah.
And it's very far.
And it's not that often. I mean, but when it does happen, it's really big.
Well, Corey, to go back to Rodney Cook. What was his favorite saying? You wrecked me getting in the corner?
Going in the corner, that's dirty driving. Center off is racing.
Right. That deal with Lee. We rolled the center, hit him up off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's – but we would run him down, and we never even touched him for 14 laps. We hit him that one time.
Yeah, well, plus you got to look. I mean, you look in your mirror, the guy's getting closer. Now he's beating on your back bumper. I mean, there's a reason he caught you, you know? I mean,
and the other thing is I know how I race. I know how I'm going to get raced. In those situations – when somebody runs me down, I move over. Go. Burt Myers, I think it was last year.
I'm going to call horse shit on that. When have you ever moved over?
So Burt Myers. Do you remember in that race I pulled down and he wouldn't pass me?
Oh, yeah.
So Burt Myers runs me down and I'm running fourth, but I can't get to the leader, so I'm running fourth. Burt Myers runs me down. I pulled down Miller's Trade and let off the gas.
Down the back straight.
He wouldn't pass me. I'm like,
he'd cut down too. And
what are you doing? I'm like, dude, just
go. What are you doing? I'm looking up in the mirror like, go. And finally I gave up after like 2 laps of trying to let him by. I started going, and he just rode behind me.
That's because Bert's going, this guy's setting me up for something.
Yeah. So after the race was over, Bert's like, I said to Bert, I'm like, dude, I was trying to let you by. He's like, I didn't know what you were trying to do there. I didn't want to put myself in a bad spot. I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna wreck you just riding around. Like, if I pull down, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I can say you've made it exciting over there. I mean, that's the main thing, you know. I mean, that's
what it says in the comments. I mean, most of the people in there have said that you make the racing over there so much better.
Yeah, I mean.
Well, thank you. I mean, and that's what I have fun doing. I mean, it's no fun riding around, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you surely didn't. I mean, you passed cars on the outside, which is unheard of at Bowman Gray. I mean, you know, you come from, what did you start, 21st?
21st.
21st to
the lead.
We took the lead.
21st to 4th in 94 laps.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was, you know, around some good cars. You know, as soon as you start getting this top 7 or 8, you know, you start slowing down because that's faster cars. But you just kept walking them down.
Yeah, we were really good.
Yeah.
Do you have any desire to race anything else?
I mean, I did 15 years ago. That time was kind of past. But, yeah, I'm out racing whatever. Does not matter to me. But I'm not that guy that's going to go out there and beg and plead and find sponsorship. I got to run this race, That's not for me. I'm at a point in my life where I enjoy racing. Do I need to race to live? No. But I would love to race. I love racing. That's why I drive for David. I mean, he loves it when I race for him. And if David ran out of funding and couldn't race anymore and nobody else wanted to be in their car, I'll stay home. I don't care.
Right.
But you can't say that's the best group you could actually be around.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so much fun because we're not there to be the fastest car. We're there to have fun. We're there to be fast, but we're not going to go crazy trying to be fast.
Well, racing's supposed to be fun. I see certain other teams over there, and they're, you son of a bitch, they're just acting crazy and all mad as hell throwing stuff.
But we're still serious about it.
We definitely are.
It's serious, but it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, we put together a good all-around car. It's not the craziest, latest, greatest, oh my God, it's lightweight this or lightweight that. No, it's kind of just a basic car. You know, it's a basic Bowman Gray car.
Yeah.
It's not anything fancy. It's not a trick setup or a trick chassis or because I know there's Bowman Gray specific cars that I'm racing against, but we're not going to go crazy trying to be like that. There's no sense. You know,
and like you say about the northern car owners, you know, down here we got kids paying money thing. We got it right here, David Hill. That's the old school team. That car's been around forever, and there's their driver here driving it.
It's a different. I like it. The mindset is completely different. I'm not saying that people still aren't searching for money up there, right? But like the difference is if you're willing to kind of drag in there and work on a bunch of the stuff because it's all families up there. It's mostly families that have just continued on. Very seldom is it like just some random guy by a modified that nobody knows who they are, right? They're all. And I think that's one of the things that makes it different. There's just up there are car owners and there are drivers. And the drivers, 90% of them work normal jobs.
Yeah.
So it's not like, hey, we got to do this, and it's all we're going to do, and you can kiss my ass, and I want to tell everybody I'm a professional race car driver. It's not really the way that it works up there. It's kind of a different gig.
It definitely is, and that's why when Roger was alive and all they wanted to do was race up north.
Right.
They raced up north full time for years.
Yeah.
They didn't even bother with the south because they didn't want to race that way.
And full time is only 3 months because the snow doesn't melt until
definitely only 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, I ran the World Series at Thompson, and they took the green flag, and it was snowing. Full on snowing.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
You got to look the Hills drove from. I mean, they're driving from Westfield, North Carolina, all the way to Connecticut every other week. You know, places. That's a long way.
Years.
Yeah, many years.
And still worked a full-time job.
Yep.
Dakota Martin wants to know how the ride with the Hills came about.
It bounced around. It was when I was racing on the tour in the north with the 28 car. It was an Eddie Flemke chassis with Reggie Ruggiero, and David Hill's stuff back then was still the same thing. Eddie Flemke had been driving the car, and they were all Raceworks chassis with Eddie Flemke chassis, and so there was a really small group of guys that ran Raceworks chassis. So we ended up with Raceworks drivers. Like, we were good in those cars. When I started racing for David Hill, the reason why I was so good right away with David was because I came out of a Raceworks car and got into his Raceworks car. where Chuck Hosfeld struggled like crazy with David Hill because Chuck was a Troyer guy, and he just could not figure that Raceworks car out. And they were just a completely different animal as far as how you drove them and the feel that you needed to make them fast. Eddie Flemke could figure it out, myself. Woody Pickett was all right at it. Doug Kobe was all right at it. I mean, there was not a lot of guys that were really good with Raceworks car. So that's what made the transition to David so much easier.
Gotcha. Jamie Blaylock said that it was worth $12 to see this guy do work. He said everybody was talking about him. Great job. I wish you would have won with the performance you put on. Thanks for what you do.
Thank you. Yeah, I wish we won that race. Looking back, knowing how good we were and how strong we were right at the end, it's like it kind of sucks we didn't win that race, but I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Trey Jean said that your fan base jumped today.
Well, that's awesome. Cool.
And Billy Grigg likes it too. So you got Billy Grigg and Derek Stoltz liking it.
Oh,
Jesus
boy.
Christ,
That's
man.
bad.
Wow.
That's good company to be in.
Yeah.
Some good people to have your back for sure. Don't sound like you need it with the Hills though.
No. I mean, they're a great bunch of guys. They'll stand behind me. I mean, David Hill stands behind me at any point, like at any time. If I say that guy's got to get it, I mean, he's there to do it.
Yeah, they're really good people, and if you're good to them, they're good to you. You know. It's funny, I've walked back in the pits, and I've got, especially at Bowman Gray, I look, there's people on the ground, and I can't see. I just see a shirt. I said, oh, shit, that's David. You know, I can't even see who it is, you know. Somebody's back here fighting or something.
Oh, yeah.
More than once, you know. But, you know, it happens.
There was that one time with when he got into the fight with the kid, the 27 car.
When Joe Ryan tried to do donuts in the pits.
So he was doing the donuts, and I was on the racetrack still when that all happened. Yeah. And I come back, I park, and there's no crew guys around. I'm like, that's a little weird. Usually there's 3 or 4 guys.
Because they were all in Bob Nelson's pit.
So I park, and I'm getting out of the car, and I'm looking over. I'm like, what the hell's going on over there? And they're all rolling around fighting, and they start straggling back, and Derek and David start coming back, and they're bleeding, and one guy's black eye, and I'm like, what did you guys do? I'm like, yeah, we got spun out. He spun out. I spun out. No big deal.
Yeah, but Civali this time is all cool.
I'm like, why is everybody upset right now?
But David
he tried killing this guy. He tried doing this. I'm like, what happened? I missed everything.
That was it's lucky somebody didn't get hurt in that deal.
Yeah,
that was a bad deal.
When I heard about what happened after, I'm like, that's pretty scary.
I mean, in those pit area, be as crazy as doing donuts and stuff in a modified slinging around. I mean, I don't see how nobody got hurt, but they didn't, luckily.
Wow. Thomas Bean said that this guy makes me want to be a Yankee.
Thomas Bean. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thomas Bean. That's awesome.
Jeez. Wow.
I used to have the politically correct attitude. Actually, if you Google it, I've been on ESPN a couple times, done a bunch of TV stuff, and I was like this politically correct kid, like always said the right things, everything. And I'm like, that's boring.
Yeah.
See, you hear the same thing over and over again.
I agree.
Yeah.
Forget about it. Just race. Do your stuff.
Yeah.
Well, that's why when Corey, asked me, I was like, yeah, we want this guy on here. You know what I mean? Because I knew you wouldn't be politically correct. That's what we try to stay away from here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just honesty. Just, I like it.
Right. Connor Keaton said, what's your favorite series favorite division at Bowman Gray other than the modifieds? Do you get to watch them? Do you know?
I watched a little bit. Honestly, coming from up north, we're a modified country up north. When I came down here, I'm like, there's too many different late models. I can't keep track. There's crates and supers and late
we all agree with
and
that.
I'm like,
and you can't tell the difference.
I can't tell the difference between this. Up north, we had one late model division and pro stocks. That's it. Like, and you knew the difference. They were nowhere near the same. Right. And down here, it's like they all look the same. I'm like, I don't know who's doing what. There's different tracks with different rules, and I'm like, I can't even keep track of it.
Yeah, up north, the tracks are pretty good with the rules being the same for about everybody.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like the SK Modifieds, like there's no tour-type racing weekly up north like they do at Bowman Gray here.
Yeah.
But, like, you could make an SK Modified, and there's a half dozen tracks you can go to with it. I mean, you can.
Yeah, but the difference is the tracks up north are trying to help each other.
Yeah.
The tracks down here are trying to divide and butcher each other, right? Like, that's the one evident. You could run a 360 sprint car on any dirt track in wherever. You know what I mean? But you can't. All the rules are pretty close to the same, I mean, there might be one here or one here, little differences that you might be able to run or not be able to run. But other than that, it's all pretty much the same deal.
Yeah. And as far as, like, rules stuff, what's another difference you see between the way northern tracks are run versus down here the way stuff is run? The biggest difference you see
I mean, you have your political stuff up north still, just like you do down here. It's a tough deal when you're running a racetrack and trying to be a race director and enforce rules and enforce procedures, and all the tracks have their downfalls. I mean, there's no perfect track out there. I found Stafford was probably the closest to the best run racetrack.
I would agree.
And that's why so many people flock there, because I mean everybody knows what they're going to get when they get there. There's really no surprises.
And even if you don't like it, it's still pretty much the same for everybody.
It's the same for everybody, and you know, car count has really hurt a place like Stafford. And when car counts go down, it starts driving their rules packages and makes them make changes. And it's a big struggle because when you make changes, it costs money.
Right.
So it's a big struggle to make changes to try and bring the sport back. When Stafford was at its heyday, when I first started racing in SK, every Friday night there was 35 SKs. 15 of them go home. Late models, there's full fields every week. And that's gone away a little bit, which forces them to make changes to try and save money, but ends up pushing some people away. So it's a real struggle where they have got into a bad spot where it's coming back now, but for a while it was pretty tough.
Well, don't you think generationally too, a lot of those people that were your longtime owners back from when you, like even 2000, whatever, you know, the dates that you were talking, a lot of those old timers kind of disappeared, and they got sick and older, and
there was really nothing coming behind them either. So it was a bit of a struggle to get those car counts back to what they used to be.
You've mentioned SK Modifieds a bunch. We don't have those down here. So explain the difference between those and a Tour-type Modified.
So an SK Modified is basically the exact same car. Suspension, rear end, tire size is the same. I mean, tire manufacturer is a little bit different track to track, but the only difference really is the motor and the transmission. SK motors were a 2-barrel, steel head, aluminum intake, about 450 horse-ish. And a tour car is obviously a full-built aluminum head, big motor with, 600 horsepower or so, with 2-speed Jerichos, where I think now you can run a 2-speed in an SK, but you used to have to run those old T10s and rock crushers and stuff like that, where now they let them run a pretty good training.
SK's like limited.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's what a limited
but
is here.
They still race hell out of them things.
Oh, yeah.
It ain't no limited about it, though. They still race hell about them.
Yeah.
John Greaves said that forget mods. You should have seen him drive a Legends car, 3 wide for wins, spanking guys twice his age.
Oh, yeah. We had a lot of fun in a Legend car. I think I ran a Legend car for about a year and a half when I was 16 to 17 years old. And the tracks I got to race on were a lot of fun because Legend cars down here is Charlotte. You know, that's where all these Legend cars guys, they go with Charlotte. And I went to Charlotte in a Legend car a couple of times. I was horrible because we raced at Waterford, Seacock, Beach Ridge, Claremont. I mean, all these little bull rings that were the right size for a Legend car, and you could race hard.
Right.
2x2. I mean, they were the perfect size for a Legend car. And then when you get to Charlotte, it's like kind of like Bowman Gray. It's like it's not really great for a Legend car. But
yeah. They're 3 wide at Waterford, them things.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, Waterford's awesome.
They'll make it happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Steve Lovelace says that the rules at Bowman Gray are a joke. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. And honestly, the past few years, to me, with this southern style of racing, when I say that when you're dealing with tires, you're dealing with rough tracks where you have to conserve your tires, I honestly don't care. If they want to show up with a big block, bring it. You just got to keep tires on a car. What's the difference?
Right.
When you're talking about Bowman Gray and a guy wants to show up with a spec motor from the Tour, so what? And they're like, oh, well, he has to have a 390 carburetor on it. I'm like, why? Let him run the Tour carburetor. I don't care if he's got 400.
It's harder to pedal with the Tour carburetor.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. Like, I mean, I don't understand the whole motors rule thing right now because we're at a point where you're at max horsepower. The rules package they have, you're basically max horsepower for what you can put to the ground. So if somebody shows up with a different package, who cares? Doesn't matter. We're already at the max. It's not like we're racing at Stafford and Thompson where the straightaways are huge.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they're almost drafting at Thompson. Yeah, you have to have tight rules at Thompson for an SK or a Tour car because, literally, when I was racing an SK, we were fighting for 3 horsepower. You found 3 horsepower, you were light years. At Bowman Gray, you could probably have 50 more horsepower, and you really wouldn't even know a difference. And that's where I'm like, when these guys get crazy about their rules, it's like, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Nobody cares.
Yeah, and people think it's not. And back in the day where people think they cheat all the time, there's not that much going on crazy just because of what you say. Like
it doesn't
Bobby
matter.
McCarty's like the modified race. He said, "I could smell tire soaking." I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, you soak a tire for 200 lap race, you're a dumbass."
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
I mean, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's just not that much cheating as people think.
Dakota Martin wants to know what advice you have for a younger driver coming up through the sport.
It's a tough deal. I mean, like me as a driver, I mean, I have no stake in what I'm driving. You know, I show up with a helmet bag and I go home with a helmet bag. To get to that point, I'm very lucky. I mean, 99% of people don't get that opportunity. These rides are few and far between. There's really, like you were saying, the old owners are gone.
Going away, yeah.
I mean, they're just going away. I mean, now it costs money and nobody wants to spend their own money.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a tough deal. Sponsorships, everything. Honestly, if I was a young kid again and I started racing, getting sponsorship is more important
100%.
than getting a ride.
I said this today to a guy. I said, you know, every one of these young kids says, I need to get a ride. I need to get a ride. Today, if today was happening, I don't give a damn about getting a ride. If I'm a guy that can procure sponsorship, I win.
Yes.
The rides are everywhere. All I got to do is get the money.
Yep.
So I know my parents don't have it, right? I know my Uncle Billy doesn't have it. Shit, maybe I should go out and try to find the money, and then maybe somebody will come back and I could use it to help them. But nobody, the money is where it's all at. You don't have to be able to drive, sell it.
No, you just sell it. And the thing is, if you're a half-decent driver, I mean, that's the first thing. Okay, you're a half-decent driver. Okay, now go find money. Don't even focus on driving anymore.
Right.
Don't even focus on getting a ride. Because once you have money,
you can do whatever you want.
Because like me, I mean, there was times I took 2 or 3 years off. And I get right back in the car, I'm just as fast. It's not like you have to practice and practice. If you're a good driver, you're going to be good. It's like riding a bike for me. If you're a good race car driver, you can go out, get a sponsor, and work on getting a sponsor. Don't work on practicing or getting a ride and going to the racetrack. No, you'll be fine. Just get a sponsor first and then go look for the ride. Because as soon as you get a ride, you're going to do good things.
Right. And if you got the money, you could choose what ride you want. I mean, if it's your sponsor, you can do whatever you want with it.
That's the most important thing. And you see it all the way up to the cup level now. I mean, these drivers are bringing their own sponsors. And that's a downside in a way, but it's what needs to be to make this sport keep going.
Yeah. You know, and there's a lot of people, Burt Myers, that's one thing I give props on that. He goes out every year, and all them things on his card ain't because people coming to him. He goes out and finds all them sponsors and gets a ton of money himself and works for it.
And that's what it takes.
I just always laugh when a new dad walks in here, right, with their 14 or 15 or 16-year-old kid. And they're like, all right, so I bought this late model. Now, how do I go about getting money for it?
The damn car's not going to bring money.
What, like, go talk to people. Was there like a certain? Nope. You don't use your group and try to find money. If you find money, then you don't need a car. You can go to whoever the hell has a car. Trust me, if you have the money, they will let you drive it. It's really easy.
It is.
Put whatever stickers you want on it.
Yep. and I came up from in the north, like you said, it's a totally different thing.
Right.
Like, I mean, I was just racing my dad's race car, and we kept moving up, and it's like opportunities started opening up.
Sure.
Like, come drive this guy's car. I was like, all right. And you brought no money. You just got into this car and you started racing it, and you did good. And if you did good right away, well, guess what? David Hill's knocking on the door. Somebody else knocking on the door. Like, come drive my car too. Like, I mean, it's just what happens up north.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to be anything like that down here.
No, that sounds so far. And to say what you said, people, like, everybody's bringing, well, my mom and dad own this realty company and do this, whatever. And this guy here has got people, hey, drive my stuff, drive my car, begging to drive their car. That don't happen here, ever.
And I've, in my racing career, I've done a lot of different things. And when I say I don't need to race, because I've gotten to a point where I know what I can do, and I've proven it over and over again, I'll get out of a race car. You want to drive the car? Go ahead, drive the car. And I wait 6 months later, get back in the car, and I go out there and win. It's like, it's not the car, guys. It's me.
Hey, I gotta give it.
No, I think that's underestimated, though. Everybody's laughing, but that's kind of the truth, right?
I've done it.
I mean,
I've done it over.
We could tell
over the past 15 years. I've done it over and over
and
again.
I think it's the same, right? You take Josh Berry out of his car, and I'm not saying
and you put him in
somebody else's, and he's still Josh Berry. He's still driving the dog out of it.
And that's
he's still, I mean, the car instantly wins.
And that's my point. You have those drivers out there, and I know who Josh Berry is very well because of what he can do.
Sure.
It's I mean, there's those drivers that can move from car to car, and the performance doesn't change.
Yeah.
Just like last year, we had somebody in our car the first half of the year. First night he gets in it, 100 lapper wins the race.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've hung my hat on that, and I feel bad saying it that way, but like,
no, it's the truth. It's okay to
I
say
mean,
that
it's
way.
like
It's the truth.
So, a lot of people don't know at Bowman Gray, when I was racing a 28 car up north in a modified tour 12, 14 years ago, whatever it was, I got into that car after Doug Coby had driven the car. Doug Coby drove the car for 2 years. Mm-hmm. His best finish was second in the car. The first year I was in the car, I won 4 races. And the next year I won 3 more. I got out of the car. Doug Coby got back in it for 2 years and never won a race. Woody Pitcock got in that car, never won a race. I got back in that car and ran top 5 in 1 race deal. Doug Coby and Woody Pitcock went on to win tons of races and championships, and I did more than them in the same car. And that's what I hang my hat on.
Yeah, yeah, just a driver wheel, man. You know,
It's a pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah, and that's like, I'm okay with it. I know I'm not going to go win tour championships. I'm just not in that position anymore. But I know what I was capable of doing.
Yeah, but Rodney Cook was at Orange County one year. He drove 5 divisions in one day.
Yep.
Only one of them was his car.
Yep.
The rest of it was just jump somebody's thing, and what he almost won every race.
Yeah.
You know, and totally different kinds of cars.
He was in the top 3 of every
he
race.
can drive a damn race car.
You know, one thing I was thinking about that may be different. Maybe you can answer this. So, we on this show dog the kids a lot, right? Like it's a product of the sport, and a lot of time they catch a bad rap because they're kids, and learning and trying to go where they may. But the interesting part is, like, there's still Priest's family still had money. I mean, not and I don't mean but right. So there's still some of that up there, but for some reason, it just seems to me that the owner up, let's say north of here, doesn't get as upset when the younger guy learning has an incident where he bails, right? Like the teams that have been around for a long time, as soon as the young guys crash them enough, they're like, well, screw it, we're out of here. We're not going to do this anymore. Where up there, it doesn't seem like it's that much. It seems like they realize, hey, these young kids got to come through this mess, probably in Dad's car, right? Because they haven't got a chance yet to get in some other car. But they don't give up on them and quit. And here it seems like if you're an owner and you get crashed a couple weeks at Hickory by some 13-year-old, you're like, we ain't doing it anymore.
Yeah, I feel like these southern tracks, because there's so many different divisions, so many different things going on, that it's not just one class at one track, that they just give up and say, oh, I'll just go race something else somewhere else, or I'll just change my car over and go race at South Boston. Where up north,
there's not as many options.
There's no options. You're racing an SK Modified at Stafford, and that's it. That's just the way it is.
So you got to play by the rules or go home, right?
Exactly. And because of that, again, it breeds that mentality of you're just going to go back next week. You're just going to go back next week because everybody else does.
Do you think it's because there's not as much saturation? Like here, you could legitimately race at 7, 8, 9, 10 different tracks, right? I mean, within a 3-hour radius. But up there where you're at, there's not, right? So there's not that much of a different diverse. There's 2, 3, 4 places, maybe, right? That depending upon who's mad at who at what point in time.
Yeah, really. I mean, for SK Modified racing, there's really only 2 places.
That's it.
Thompson races part-time, but Stafford and Waterford, that's it. Those are your only 2 options. And the cars are the same, and no matter what track you go to, you're going to run into the same people.
Right.
Because most of them run both tracks.
Tyler Owen wants to know if you believe that the Modified Tour should be running at tracks like Richmond and Dover again.
Absolutely. Definitely Richmond. Anything under a mile. I think Dover's too big because it's such a high banked mile.
Dover's kind of sketchy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But definitely your Richmond's. I'd love to see him go back to Watkins Glen, some road course stuff.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. I ran in Lime Rock in a Hillbilly car.
That place is awesome.
That place was awesome, and I love Lime Rock.
Beautiful too. I mean, I don't know if you've never been there. I mean, just gorgeous, out in the middle of nowhere,
in the hills,
with all these beautiful rock walls all around. I mean, it's freaking awesome up there.
It's pretty awesome. Definitely, the diversity of tracks is what they need to be doing, not the same cookie cutter Stafford Thompson. You know, and they've branched out quite a bit since years past. In years past, they'd go to Thompson 4 times and Stafford 5 times, and it was a 16-race schedule. So it's like all it was Stafford and Thompson.
But now they've branched out quite a bit, going back to South Boston, Riverhead, Wall. I mean, they've branched out a little bit.
Sounds like the Southern Tour with Caraway. Going there like 47,000 times.
Well,
whether it was NASCAR
what
or
about
there.
the Seekonk place?
I love Seekonk.
Yeah, I'd never been, but I heard a lot of people from up north that are my friends talk about that.
So Seekonk's another one. I didn't race for 2 years. Wayne Darling called me up, and he pretty much owns a lot of Seekonk's area.
Sure.
It's the 52 car that won the championship with Doug Coby a few years back. I hadn't raced in like a year and a half or so, and Wayne had always wanted me to drive his car. And Wayne said, what if you come run this 10,000 to win race Wednesday night show? I'm like, all right. And I didn't tell Wayne I had never been to Seekonk in a modified. I had been to Seekonk in a legend car 15 years before that. So I show up there, and he's like, we're going to practice one day. I'll have my son come over because his son races Pro Stocks weekly. I'm like, all right. So I show up there, and Wayne's cars are always right. He had the way they worked on those cars, they had a guy that set that car up, and it was always fantastic. So I show up there, and there was a guy practicing there. I think it was Todd Anarumo, and he races there weekly. And we go out there, and we ran some laps, and Todd says to Wayne, he says, shit, you're 2/10 faster than us. And I had never been there in a modified. And Wayne Darling's son, David, looks at Wayne and said, why did you bring me here? He says, well, just in case he needed some pointers to get around this track. He hadn't been here in a long time. He's like, you don't need me. And he left. And I get out of the car, and I says, well, how was it? He said, that was about as fast as a modified will ever go around this place. I said, really? He says, yeah. I said, well, I didn't want to tell you I'd never driven a modified here before. So we show up for that Wednesday show, and there's 47 cars there. And it was heat races to qualify for the race. And we ended up winning our heat race and started second. Led the first third of it. Thought I was going too fast, and I let Richard Savory by. And towards the end, we probably should have won the race. Ran Savory down, got to his rear bumper, and just couldn't get to him. And finished second out of 47 cars. And I hadn't raced in over a year and a half. So, I mean, that was one of those races I wish I won because that car was absolutely perfect. I mean, it just drove so good.
What is a race you haven't won that you would like, to win and modify? Something that that you might have a chance to do one day.
I don't know. I've won a lot of big races up north. I've won the Icebreaker.
Have you won the Turkey Derby?
I've won the Turkey Derby. My second time there ever. And led every lap but started third. That was kind of weird.
That's when
I started third and led every lap because Jimmy and Reggie wrecked at the start-finish line on the first lap and kind of inherited the lead and led the whole race. Late in the race, Matt Hirschman got to me, another deal where Matt Hirschman was faster than me. And it was in the same time span when they hated me to death. And they just did everything they wanted to beat me so bad. And he got to me, and he was kind of breaking my balls a little bit, and I broke his balls back and rubbed him up against the wall a little bit. And that was that 60 car that I did not like one bit because it didn't race the Tour. It only raced the open shows. It was one of those kind of deals.
Yeah.
So I was not happy that the 60 car was trying to get around me. And then late in the race, Jimmy blew it, ran me down. They fixed their car and didn't go a lap down. And he got through the field, and he got to me, and that was his house. And it was the year John Blewett died. And I actually had thoughts of, like, Jimmy should be winning this race right now.
Yeah.
But Jimmy got to me, and he was doing everything he could get around me. Doug Coby was actually spotting for me. And the same deal. I kept using the rear bumper, making sure he couldn't get underneath me, just kept hitting the brake at the right time, and beat him. And he was ear-to-ear smile, and me and Jimmy go back so much. I mean, we'd do anything for each other. And he was real happy to see us win that race.
That'd be a good one to have back in the backup car.
Oh, Jimmy's awesome. That guy is.
He's been around the stadium.
He's just like me.
Yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah.
For all the haters you got on those Bowman Gray pages, we ain't seen any of those tonight.
No. We never see no hate.
Nobody, yeah, for real. Nobody. I figured tonight we were going. People were just going to bash you.
Some of them comments were just so funny. I mean, one guy said he's no TC. Ted Christian never wrecked a man on purpose in his life. I said, who the hell are you talking about, man? The dude's told me before race what he was going to do, went out and did it.
What about the guy who was a Junior Miller fan? I love Junior Miller's driving, and you said, dude, it's the same thing. It's a younger version of Junior Miller.
Yeah.
He didn't like Civali, but he liked Junior Miller.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. People kill me, but it's just it's because it's something different, and people want to hate what's not usual,
But also, he's a newcomer. He's an outsider, and
You know.
Just like you said earlier, in the 4 to go or 5 to go at the stadium. Throw it out. Guys in turn 1, see if you see anything. Come on, you know.
That sucks.
Well,
got to make it exciting, man.
It was fixing to be exciting anyway.
You think he would have got to me?
Yeah.
I think he would have sailed it down in there to get to me, at least.
He was walking you down pretty good at the end.
I couldn't hit my marks at the end of that race to save my life.
But, I mean, Brian had no front bumper left. It was sitting in the air, so I don't know what he was going to hit you with, but he was going to hit you with something.
Yeah. His bumper was definitely worse than mine.
Yeah. Yeah, his was way messed up, but, you know.
Cassius Clark's got good things to say about you. He said you're a good dude, awesome family, had a lot of fun racing together when starting out. Good to hear you're back behind the wheel.
Yeah, Cassius, we go back from Legend Cars. Actually, there was one race, Cassius actually put his car in our trailer because his dad couldn't go. We went to Hardyville down in South Carolina. And Cassius,
that was a long time ago.
God almighty, how old were you?
I was probably 15 years old. Cassius was about my age.
Yeah.
And he actually rode down with us. Me and my brother and him, the three of us, raced. And he actually ran really well. We didn't run very good at all. He almost won the race. And my dad worked on his car and got his car. We worked on his car and we worked together and we drove home with him. I mean, it was kind of cool. That was kind of like a lot like quarter midget racing for us. We traveled around the country, made a lot of good friends. I mean, I've got friends all over the country from quarter midget racing.
I love that, right? I still got most of my friends are from because we all hated each other. And
the way you acted, I'm surprised that you got any friends.
I was there to win. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if we're racing quarter midgets or not. I'm there to win. That's it.
And we traveled all over the country with quarter midgets.
We did the same. That was awesome.
When I think my mother figured it out when I was 16 and I stopped racing quarter midgets, I had won in 18 states.
That's awesome.
And it was pretty cool.
Yeah, we competed in like 142 races in 1 year. It was super
Yeah,
awesome,
it was
dude.
awesome.
Dad was tired, though.
Yeah.
Dakota Martin, he's had a lot of questions tonight. I haven't asked half of them. He said, what do you think about running in a modified again under the lights at Martinsville?
Yeah, we need to be back there. That's another one of those tracks. I mean, it's just perfect for us. I really think you can get the people in the stands if you do it right.
Well, how do you do it right?
Honestly, it's tough to do it right. One of the things I was frustrated with NASCAR, I mean, NASCAR's got their own way they do things, and it's a tough deal, and they're all got their different confinements that they have to work in. But the modified race at South Boston was the week after Martinsville.
Right.
What kind of sense does that make? Make it Saturday night after qualifying at Martinsville. The place would be packed.
Rides up, yeah.
Right.
I mean, like, those types of moves are like, you guys can make a great thing. And I know there's different schedules that are trying to work around with people, getting them to the track and everything, but it's like those little things are what builds your product. I mean, those people there for the Cup race can be modified fans if they've seen it.
On the other side, South Boston, I went many times to the truck race on Saturday and then hauled butt to South Boston because, they were making a big deal out of their race that night,
Yeah, and that's the types of things that I wish they could do more of. I feel like 10 years ago when I was racing the Tour, they did that more. At Loudon, our race was on Saturday.
Yeah.
Which is super prime time for us. And
they pubbed the crap out of it. I remember every dude that was from up around that area that had a car was taking it there.
Yeah.
Didn't matter. I mean, even guys from down here were shipping cars up there to race. It was that big of a deal.
It was a big deal. And Bristol was a similar deal, racing with the trucks. I mean, that was...
Bristol has died out. Now,
now
the last few
it's
times...
unreal.
They're like, all the racing Bristol Wednesday. I was like, it's Tuesday. I ain't heard a word about it. You know?
It's crazy. And you see the people in the stands, there's nobody there.
Right.
It's like, what is going on? That's Bristol. It should be packed.
Yeah.
15 years ago, it was packed.
Promotion. I just think the promotion is just not there. They just don't put a lot of effort to it like they used to.
It costs too much money. I mean, that's the other big thing. It just costs too much money to put these events on.
Yeah.
And you just gotta.
In Martinsville, I'll give kudos to Clay Campbell. The first show, he paid out of his pocket to do that, put them lights in there and stuff.
Right.
And how many times they do it? 3 times? Twice?
Modified?
The lights at Martinsville. Twice or 3 times? Anyway, the first time was great. I mean, there was a bunch of people there. The next time, it wasn't. The people just didn't come out like they did, And he said, "I'm not going to keep paying for this," and nobody comes. So that was it.
Clay Simmons said, "Bring back Martinsville, North Wilkesboro, Richmond, Anderson, Hickory, and Orange County.
North Wilkesboro's too far gone.
Yeah, I was up there the other week. It's beyond gone.
Rockingham's still an option.
No, man. You'll die.
You'll
die. They actually tried to test there, I think, a few years ago.
Woody Pickett
They're
tested
Hans
there.
testing. That's a Hans test.
Woody tested there in the 79 car years ago.
Yeah, we had to put tethers on the damn wheels
Exactly.
to keep them out of the
Right.
Jesus.
Spindle tethers to keep them from blowing off into the crowd.
How big is that track?
Fast.
Is it a mile? Is it a mile?
It says a mile, but it's over a friggin'
is it?
mile.
Right.
Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah, it's a big mile.
Yeah, there would be carnage there.
Kind of like Myrtle Beach Speedway's half-mile track. Hell no, it's as big as Richmond. I believe.
Tony White, referring to Martinsville, he said bring the limited cars too.
Hell no.
Please, dear God, that was great. That was
Don't
great.
you worry.
Demolition Derby.
I promise that'll never happen again. That was we had a limited late model race there years ago. It was only a 50-lap race, and we made it to lap 19. And I said, well, hell, this is great.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
The race started at, 2:30, 3 o'clock? It got dark, and we made it lap 39. From 19 to 39, it was like 4.5 hours. Yeah.
They were wadding them up everywhere.
Oh, they killed each
other. It was fantastic.
Yeah, they killed each other. And that was the end of that.
Shane Bailey says that NASCAR has the reins pulled right and doesn't want the modifieds to upstage their premier divisions.
Well, that's no.
I mean, it's not an upstage thing. I mean, it's a promotion of the grassroots. I mean, it's a promotion of, hey, these could be the next guys. You know what I mean? You know, and I felt that way when we were at Loudon. You know, when you're at Loudon and you're racing out Saturday, they were pushing that like, hey, these are the next guys. Especially when you get like Tony Stewart, he ran a race with us. J.J. Yaley ran with us once. You get these guys that race with us and they're like, they didn't just go out there and win like Kyle Busch would do in the Xfinity race.
Right.
They struggled with us.
Right.
I mean, we're just as good as they are. I mean, that's what was really awesome.
You know, and something I was thinking of, I don't know if we talked about it the other day, like at Bowman Gray, okay, it used to be there's new people coming up and everything. Nobody's doing a developmental ride, a modified. There's no kids coming up through that or anything like that. What do you do when,
Development.
Huh? I'll smack shit out of you. Yeah! Anyway.
That was awesome.
Come on, Skip. Spit it out.
All right,
come on, Skip. Anyway, Tim Brown and Burt Myers ain't going to race forever.
Well, that's the other thing. I mean, what is it, 22 years with them there?
Yeah, I mean, the same people have been there. Eventually, they're going to quit racing there.
You would hope. I hope.
Well, I mean, but there's no new people coming in, though.
No. Well, I mean, I really think you'll get a guy like John Holloman. Eventually, he's going to end up in a modified.
Well, hell, Derek's done fixed a damn modified now, so he's going in that shit. So.
Derek, too. I mean, Derek should be in a modified. I mean, that's the progression.
That's the premier division over there, though, right?
That's the progression of the sport. It's like, okay, you're winning a lot of races there. Go get yourself modified and get into the premier division at the track. I mean, that's like when we were at Stafford.
Zach Clifton did it. I'll give it to Zach Clifton.
Yeah, I mean, when we were at Stafford, you wanted to be in an SK modified weekly. So if you were winning races in an SK light or late model, you moved up. That's what they did.
Yeah, but up there, that is the premier of the whole region. Down here, no other track other than Bowman Gray has a modified at it.
That is true. I mean, late models down here are the premier division, I would say. I mean, that's just the way it is.
For sure.
But at Bowman Gray, it's the modifieds. And if you want to race at Bowman Gray forever, which a lot of these guys do, and they base their career on Bowman Gray,
right,
I would think you'd want to move up.
Yeah.
And that's just my mentality.
Right. Steve Lovelace wants to know if you've ever seen stands as packed as the stadium at any other track.
No, definitely not. I mean, obviously the sheer size of Loudon and the day that we would run on, yeah, you'd get 20,000 people there.
Right.
But that's at Loudon with Xfinity Racing.
With an anchor deal already.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way it is.
Right. All right. All these people are in favor of the limiteds, by the way. Just for Martinsville. So we need to sign it up.
Casey Kepley
make
said
this
yes.
happen.
Huh?
Casey Kepley said
he ain't gonna race it, is he?
Limiteds at Martinsville.
Does he still race?
$150 tires.
It'll be a caution for lap 19, I'll tell you that.
Wow.
Well, speaking of limiteds,
gosh,
Ryan Nelson's got a car.
It never races, though.
God,
hey, why don't you put him in your car to race?
No, you don't want to put him
Why
in
not?
the
Yes.
Do it.
Performance Center needs more work to do.
Right, do
I would
that.
definitely be here on a Sunday or a Monday.
Well,
I'm cool. Let's do that. That would be really
everybody
good.
here is good with that, except you.
like I said, I can't feel him until things start falling
The
off.
last time you raced, Dylan Bassett was running a damn limited.
Oh,
okay?
my gosh.
Dylan's like 27 years old now. I know. I'm just giving him
You're
hell.
drunk, he said. He called him out.
He probably is. But.
Yeah, he probably is, but that's beside the point. That has nothing to do with
That's
that.
the last time that you won, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah. That was a long time ago.
15 feet short back in the Rodney Cook race.
Yeah,
Oh,
well. It happens. Yeah, but I think it's a great idea. Put him in your car. His car's ready to go, ain't it? Yeah, well.
Yeah, you should do that.
No.
No.
Yes. Put him in there. Let's go.
That's why he'll be smiling when he come back.
At Bowman Gray.
What do you think,
At
Skip?
Bowman Gray. At Bowman Gray.
At Bowman
in
Gray
Sportsman.
You
Dude,
you ever heard that saying? Hell no.
I got tons of used body panels back there. We'll just keep putting
if
them
we
on.
put a used body on it.
That's what I'm saying.
Like
I got
a
tons
Frankenstein body.
I got
like
tons of used
different
body panels
from
back
everything.
there.
That would be awesome.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, Skip.
I mean, we're not going to do frame damage there. I mean, probably not. But I mean,
you're not going to do
You
frame
can-
damage
yeah,
there.
You can do frame.
Yeah, not really, though. You don't get that many clips over there. Just more spindles and pockets.
Well, Ryan did say he's going to take it to Ace here in a few weeks.
And we are. We're going back.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
It's about time.
Yeah.
Who's driving, Kale?
Who's
driving Kale?
Me or Kale.
You ain't going to drive it.
I don't feel like getting hot and sweaty. I don't feel like
that's his reason.
You have to do that on the spotter stand, I guess.
Yeah, I get it. Hey, when he tears it all to hell down there with David's car, I'm like, glad it ain't mine. So I can just walk away and go home.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's about all the time we've got today. We done went to 9 o'clock, so
yeah,
been pretty good though. Entertaining.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
A lot of stories, a lot of things coming from inside the chat. A lot of people know a lot of stories about you. So glad we got them all out there tonight.
Yeah.
So
Dale Cogger's talking junk about you, Ryan.
I got all my teeth though.
Well, and
wow. Wow.
Oh.
Oh man.
What was the L.W. Miller name again?
Leslie Wayne.
There you go, Leslie Wayne.
I
got all my teeth.
Wait a minute.
Those are the two things.
Is that his name? I don't even know.
I don't know.
That is his name.
It is.
Andy
okay.
Seiss calls him that all the time too.
Yeah,
Andy likes him a lot.
Yeah, they're good friends.
They're real good friends.
Yeah, for sure. All right, where you guys headed this weekend?
Huh?
I'm going to
Where you headed?
CBS.
I'm going to watch his crazy ass.
I understand. You're going to Southern National?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to Motor Mile. So.
There we go. 3 different tracks.
Yeah, so we'll have plenty. Doc, where you headed?
I'm working at Wake Forest Baptist this
Yeah,
weekend.
good for you, Doc.
What divisions are running over there?
They got wheelchair races.
They got wheelchair races and the grocery grab.
Well, bring us some audio from that next week, okay?
I almost had him into one.
Oh man! All right, guys, I'm gonna let Doc get us out of here.
All right, there's several places to get your race on this weekend. Starting Friday, May the 10th, Ace Speedway, 100 laps, Anderson Speedway, Twin 40s, Kingsport will be running their late model stocks, Southside again, late model stocks, Wake County Speedway will be getting a race on. Hopefully the weather will play nice so they can get their opening night in. Wake County Speedway, a fantastic facility. Bowman Gray Street Stocks, 50 laps, that's a special race for those guys, 100 laps for the modified. You can see our guest here run, and I bet he'll have a whole lot more fans out there tonight. Saturday night. Caraway Speedway, the big Enduro. We need somebody to go cover that, guys. Somebody needs to go cover that. Roger, what you got?
I thought Corey was doing the Enduro over there. What happened?
He was deemed illegal.
Yeah, he got on here and started beating his chest that he was going to go run that Enduro, and then nothing happened. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. So there you have it. But that's going to be a good, fun show, and they're going to have the limited sportsman as well. That's at Caraway. Dillon Motor Speedway got the mass street stocks and late model stocks are running. Dominion Raceway, late model stocks will be running. Greenville Pickens Mother's Day race. And I find it hard to believe that's the only track advertising this Mother's Day weekend. They're the only track saying Mother's Day race, all moms get in free. I can't believe Bowman Gray not having a ladies' night on Mother's Day weekend. That fail, big fail right there. Motor Mile Speedway, Twin 50s. Langley will be up there representing the RACE22 brand. Myrtle Beach Speedway will be racing their late model stocks. Orange County Speedway, late model stocks. Southern National Motorsports Park with their brand new program for the drivers. 75 laps of racing, so we'll be anxious to hear about that for sure. Don't forget Cars Tour, super late models and late model stocks. Motor Mile Speedway, May 18th. On that Saturday, the grandstand gates will open at 4 o'clock. Single car qualifying will begin at 5:15 with the late model stocks, followed by super late models. They are scheduled to have a fan fest starting around 6:25. Green flag for that race is at 7:30. And that'll wrap it up. Any final words for you? You good? He's ready to pack up. Let's take it to the road.
I must be going.
Well, that'll wrap up this week's show. We want to thank you for listening to RACE22 Radio. Be sure and keep us logged on to race22.com for all your favorite late model stock car racing action, videos, podcasts, and much, much more. We'll be back broadcasting live around the globe next Monday at 6 p.m. from right here at the Performance Center Racing Warehouse Studio in beautiful Statesville, North Carolina. Until then, we'll see you at the races. RACE22 Radio is a presentation of RACE22 Productions.
I must be